January 20th. On Tuesday, Wisconsin passed 5,500 deaths from the COVID-19 virus, and the U.S. death toll passed a staggering 400,000. Over the last few days, the state's 7-day case average has been declining, while the 7-day death average has remained steady at a high level. As of yesterday, more than 40,000 people in Wisconsin have received both shots of COVID-19 vaccine and are protected against the coronavirus. The Wisconsin pharmacist accused of trying to defrost and spoil dozens of vials of COVID-19 vaccine was charged Tuesday with attempted misdemeanor property damage, and prosecutors warned more serious charges could follow if tests showed the doses were ruined. Forecast of partly cloudy skies with winds up to 25 miles per hour. High today of 31 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the very first show of the Biden-Harris administration. How you doing, little buddy? Happy Inauguration Day.
Trudy, happy Inauguration Day to you as well, Fancy Brian, our fair audience. What a glorious, glorious day. Yes, very important. Joe Biden now the next president, the current president of the United States. And just as importantly, Donald Trump is no longer the president.
You know, little orphan Trudy promised you the sun would come out. Today, it is glorious, at least here in Madison. Looks sort of overcast in D.C., but the festivities, they've been somewhat solemn, Dom, so far. And a historic moment happened first and foremost right out of the gate. But before we talk about that, let me tell you, I'm happy we got Bill Press. We spent the last inauguration week partying with Bill Press and his staff. Dominic, we were in D.C. We were on Pennsylvania Boulevard Avenue, I guess it is, technically. You recall, right up to the heavy smoking part, right, Dom?
Yeah, lighting up a joint on top of the building. It was a beautiful, beautiful sight.
Except
not so great that Donald Trump was inaugurated, but to be down on Pennsylvania Avenue with our pal Bill Press and the crew over there, we're super happy Bill's going to join us today at 3 o'clock.
If you can't go to the party, bring Bill Press to you. Everybody loves Bill Press. He joins us at 3:06. Dominic, I got to tell you, happy. Fancy Brian over here is he's either too high or very happy. One or the other. He's done right giddy. He's like a schoolgirl.
Like a little schoolgirl, yes.
There's a lot of joy in the world today, man. I mean, this is fantastic. I'm so happy right now.
Do you feel a shift in the force?
I do. I mean, a little bit of weight off our shoulders, you know, perhaps as a country. Certainly a lot to now focus our time and energy on. But yeah, it's great to have the man out of the office.
Life feels better already. Let's start with the very important, the historic. Let's start with Kamala Harris. She was sworn in first, and we're going to play you that sound. Just in case you were busy working today and not watching, witnessing history, listening to it locally here on Devil Radio 92.7. Play it for the people, if you'd be so kind, Fancy Brian. Kamala Harris, your vice president.
I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear.
I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And it was a party up in here, Dom. That was
Fantastic.
your Vice President, Kamala Harris, and Sonia Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice. She did the swearing in for the VP. And no speech. We verified. No speech.
No speech.
Right.
But certainly,
ahead,
I mean,
Dom.
obviously, historic. And I think that's why it's important. And we led with that. This is historic. The first female, the first African-American. And of all the pomp and circumstances of what I've seen today, that swearing in of Kamala Harris was to me the most important.
Well, perhaps the most historic, Dom, but the most important was the big one, the top of the ticket. It was when Joe Biden became the president of the United States. We're going to play that for you as well. Here he is, Joe Biden, your president, with Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, doing the swearing in. Cut number 6.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United
the
States
office of President of the United States,
and will, to the best of my ability,
will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United
the
States.
Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Now, Dom, we were relatively close 4 years ago when Donald Trump took that very same oath. And, just perhaps out, I couldn't see precisely. But when they were asking him to, protect and uphold the Constitution of the United States, do you think Trump had his fingers crossed?
I think Donald Trump will say anything and do anything in order to try, obviously, to maintain power, to get into power, and to cover his ass. But this isn't Donald Trump's day. We'll get to some of his sound perhaps in the next hour. This is Joe Biden's day.
Well, let's play some of the sound. The inauguration speech. This is the one we were waiting for. Fancy Brian, going to need your help. If you'd be so kind, play President. We're done with the president-elect crap.
Yeah,
President
thankfully.
Joe Biden, cut 40.
Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge.
Let's keep going. More Joe Biden, your president.
This is America's day. This is democracy's day, a day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve.
More Joe Biden from the inaugural speech, the will of the American people, cut 42.
Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people has been heard, and the will of the people has been heeded.
The will of the people is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We've got more of now President Joe Biden from his inaugural address earlier today, played for the people. Cut 44, please.
On this hallowed ground where just a few days ago, violence sought to shake the Capitol's very foundation, we come together as one nation, under God, indivisible, to carry out the peaceful transfer of power as we have for more than 2 centuries.
I was hopeful he would say with liberty and justice for Trump.
Well,
It's a speech. You can say whatever you want. I'm
that is true.
just projecting my own aspirations.
A little late, though. There was not a peaceful transfer of power. Obviously, 5 people died a couple weeks ago to try to stop that. So I appreciate it, but that's not exactly how it went down.
And we face a winter of peril. Winter is upon us. Cut 45.
We'll press forward with speed and urgency, for we have much to do in this winter of peril and significant possibilities.
Well, there's a little optimism there. More from Joe Biden. Cut 46. We still got a long ways to go.
This is a great nation. We are good people. And over the centuries, through storm and strife, in peace and in war, we've come so far, but we still have far to go.
And he acknowledged white supremacy in a different way than the last president. Less of a good people on both sides sort of way. More of your now president, Joe Biden, cut 47 from the inaugural speech, acknowledging white supremacy.
A rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism that we must confront and we will defeat.
But Joe, how are you going to unite the Nazis and the Klansmen if you're also what? Shaking a fist at them? How are you going to unite this nation, Joe? Cut 48.
To overcome these challenges, to restore the soul and secure the future of America, requires so much more than words. It requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy, unity.
We'll see.
Let's keep going. More from President Biden. You can do great things with unity. Next 149, please, Bri.
With unity, we can do great things, important things. We can right wrongs. We can put people to work in good jobs. We can teach our children in safe schools. We can overcome the deadly virus.
Unity. Joe Biden, purpose and resolve, cut 50.
With purpose and resolve, we turn to those tasks of our time, sustained by faith, driven by conviction, and devoted to one another and the country we love with all our hearts.
Joe Biden speaking today liked this term, the uncivil war that must be ended, cut 51.
We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue, rural versus urban, or rural versus urban, conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts.
Dom, I'm not clear that you have a soul.
I'm not clear there is such a thing as a soul, but I can appreciate the sentiment. And perhaps we'll get to this later. Not clear that, right-wing talk radio, they're hearing this message. I love the message. It's nice to hear someone talk in these terms, unlike what? Donald Trump, the American carnage. It stops right here and it stops right now. And then what? Fast forward 4 years, 400,000 people dead, an attempted insurrection. And, Donald Trump doesn't have time to go and support the new president, although former presidents have, both Republicans and Democrats.
There was a ceremony at Arlington, a laying of the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown. And all of the former presidents, or at least most of them, were there. I saw W. and Laura Bush, and I saw Michelle and Barack Obama. And an earlier note, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton shared a warm hug. They both seemed very happy at the inauguration of Joe Biden. I saw her there with her husband, Bill Clinton, the former president, of course. And then, of course, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they laid the wreath together. But Trump glaring in his absence, and his absence welcome in this circumstance. Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. I'm feeling happy. How about you? Happy Inauguration Day.
Your feelings.
Josh Call, the candidate for Wisconsin Attorney General.
Do you think voter ID had a suppressive effect, not on 100 voters, but on thousands of voters, and perhaps tipped the election to Donald Trump?
This is an issue that came up at our trial. And first of all, I should thank you guys because we actually introduced into evidence the recording of you interviewing Dale Schultz, who was talking about the passage of the voter ID law. That was one of our pieces of evidence.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
Biden won because of you, because you stayed in line to vote even when you got tired, because you knew that your vote is power, because you understood what was at stake, and because you showed up, we now have the power. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can. But it's just as important to take time for yourself. AARP can help. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Senator Ron Johnson talking about staying out of bars. How does that pair with your thought that schools should reopen in the fall? You got a room full of school students or a room full of bar patrons. What's the difference?
Because schools, students, it's rare, very rare to have them have a very serious medical effect from COVID.
Listen to Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
You shouldn't have older school teachers or school teachers with some of the comorbidities.
The Devil's Advocates. We drink when we toast when we drink.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open today at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, you know what I'm most excited about?
A party.
The Devil's Advocates inaugural ball and cocktail hour. It starts at 7 o'clock Central Time tonight. And if you've ever given a plum nickel or more, many generous people have given to these radio endeavors to the Patreon page. You've got your link, your Zoom link in your inbox when you get home. So look for it there. And please join us for the once in a lifetime inaugural ball, the happy hour to beat all happy hours, starting at 7 o'clock tonight. Dom, Crudy, and you, the most generous of our audience. And just so no one's excluded, this not ready for FCC broadcast will be live to stream. So those that gave get the, access to the cocktail party, but everyone can listen along at darnwi.com, darnwi.com. But if you ever gave at the GoFundMe page or the Patreon page, look in your email box and see if there's not a link for you. And otherwise, just bug Fancy Brian. He loves when people do that at 844-967-2789. Please check your inbox. Your invitation is waiting. It's going to be a party. Dom, I'm excited.
Me too, Matt. It's been a long time coming. We appreciate everyone who's helped out over the years, and it's been a long time. And certainly these last 4 have been trying in many ways for many of us. So every little bit helps, and we certainly appreciate it. Crudy, we have some more Biden sound. We also have some Trump sound, but I think give the man his due. Let's hear some more of President Joe Biden. If you would, Brian, let's continue at Cut 52, the story of light.
Together, we shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness.
Of good, not evil. Of Biden, not Trump.
Not right and not wrong. Yes. Moving on, engaging with the world again. I appreciate this. Let's get to hear Biden on this, and I'll have some comments perhaps afterwards. Cut 53, please, Brian.
America has been tested, and we've come out stronger for it. We will repair our alliances and engage with the world once again.
And engaging with the world. And I guess we talked yesterday, what's the worst thing that Trump has done? What's the best thing? Shorter list, right? Not getting any new specific wars. We still have the old wars to deal with, and the consequence of our history, certainly, but nothing new under Donald Trump, and hopefully not under Joe Biden as well. Let's keep going on these sound bites from Joe Biden today to those of you who supported Joe. Cut 54.
To all those who did not support us, let me say this. Hear me out as we move forward. Take a measure of me and my heart. If you still disagree, so be it.
If we still disagree, so be it. But then don't, ransack the White House.
Your feelings.
That was the attitude of the Trumpsters 4 years ago, right, though, Dom?
What was it? Played again.
Your feelings.
F your feelings. Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Little less unifying, that message.
Let's keep going. Joe Biden defending America, cut 55.
I give you my word. I will always level with you. I will defend the Constitution. I'll defend our democracy. I'll defend America.
And the Capitol siege, cut 56.
It did not happen. It will never happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Not ever.
Of course, the Capitol siege did happen. The impact that those who participated in that insurrection, well, although delayed, democracy continued. And that's what Joe was talking about there. We're going to need each other, cut 57.
In the work ahead of us, we're going to need each other. We need all our strength to persevere through this dark winter.
Let's talk about the next two, 58 and 59 facts manufactured and defeating lies, President Joe Biden.
Each of us has a duty and a responsibility as citizens, as Americans, and especially as leaders who have pledged to honor our Constitution and protect our nation, to defend the truth and defeat the lies. Every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for total war. And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even manufactured.
Well, you're well on your way. You're listening to the greatest radio show ever, The Devil's Advocates. Nothing but the facts here, Dom.
Just a couple more. A moment of silence, cut 60.
We'll honor them for becoming the people and the nation we know we can and should be. So I ask you, let's say a silent prayer for those who've lost their lives and those left behind, and for our country.
And certainly when Joe Biden says it, knowing, his background and the empathy that this man actually has, unlike the narcissist former President Trump, you can actually kind of believe it. One more, please, Brian, cut 61.
I will be a president for all Americans, all Americans. And I promise you, I will fight as hard for those who did not support me as for those who did.
That wasn't what the last guy was trying to accomplish.
No? Are you sure? He was fighting for you, Crudy. You just didn't know it.
Dominic, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure of one thing, and one thing only in this world. A couple things. Joe Biden is your president. Kamala Harris is your vice president. And we are going to throw the greatest virtual inaugural ball of all time. Dom, everyone, go check your inboxes. There is a virtual Zoom link for you. And, if you haven't given prior, and I'm not soliciting giving, you can still participate. Listen at the stream tonight on the Devil's Advocates page at DARNWI.com. No one excluded from this political party. It's going to be fun, Dom. You got the biggest balls of them all. Come back. More Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789.
You are a madman. I want to party with you, cowboy. The two of us together, forget it.
Stay informed with Progressive News and Talk on Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, Dane County's choice for essential radio.
An industry that started in America should stay in America. At Ignite Glass and Gifts, we strive to offer tons of American-made products, most of which we create by hand in our glass blowing shop. You'll know your product will have thicker, longer-lasting glass, and it's artistically made right here at home. Madison's favorite for glass gifts and vape. Ignite Glass and Gifts, Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road. Keep it American made at Ignite.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hey, it's Pizza Box Mike. I've got a show outside the Pizza Box. Be sure to listen on Saturdays at noon on Devil Radio. There is a reason why they won't let me on Facebook anymore.
I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. President Joe Biden is telling Americans democracy has prevailed. It's time to come together.
We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue.
There's been deadly violence at the Capitol, racial tensions, and a pandemic.
We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts.
At his swearing in at a lockdown Capitol, the president spoke about what happened at that very spot.
Just days after a riotous mob thought they could use violence to silence the will of the people, to stop the work of our democracy, to drive us from this sacred ground. It did not happen. It will never happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever.
His message to those who didn't vote for him.
Hear me out as we move forward. Take a measure of me and my heart. If you still disagree, so be it. That's democracy.
I'm Ed.
Last night's sleep? Interrupted by pain? Tonight, silence it. With new ZQL Night Pain. Restful sleep, now with powerful pain relief. ZQL Night Pain combines America's #1 sleep aid with a maximum strength pain reliever. So you can fall asleep fast and wake feeling rested, because pain should never get in the way of a great night's sleep. New ZQL Night Pain. Silence pain. Sleep soundly. Available at retailers near you.
Hey y'all, this is your girl Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Wednesday, January 20th. Legislative Republicans refused to take up discussion on updates to the state's unemployment system on Tuesday in a special session called by Governor Tony Evers, bringing into question the effectiveness of special sessions during periods of divided government. Governor Evers has called 7 special sessions on matters ranging from gun control to pandemic-related adjustments to last year's spring election. Republicans who control the state Senate and Assembly have largely ignored Evers' requests, and none of the Democratic governor's special sessions have directly resulted in legislation. People 65 and older in Wisconsin will be eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine starting Monday, the State Department of Health Services reported Tuesday. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Give me a ticket for an aeroplane. Ain't got time to take a fast train.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Happy inaugural day to us all. Woohoo! Except you, Donald Trump. I hope it is the worst day of your life. Donald Trump.
No, he's got many, many, many more bad days coming.
Apparently, Donald Trump left something of a love note for Joe Biden at the White House residence. I'm not sure if Joe's read the Sharpie or perhaps even crayon written letter yet. You know, traditionally they keep those letters confidential. One president to another president.
Well, think about how long.
Good.
Think about how long it took Donald Trump to cut out those individual letters from the magazines. You know,
if you want your democracy back, leave $1 billion in a bag by the back door.
Oh.
So Trump left a letter for Joe Biden. And here's the question I have for you, little buddy, and perhaps the entire audience. What do you think was in that letter? 844-967-2789. What do you think was in the Trump letter to Joe Biden? I mean,
come on. I mean, given this guy, I can't
put you on
imagine
the spot,
there's
little fella.
any sense of reflection with the guy. He's probably, ripping on him and Hunter Biden. And I mean, maybe a threat that he's going to expose the whole thing. Or maybe he's just realized, Donald Trump finally realized how wrong he had been. And it's a sincere apology to Joe Biden and the family and wishes him the best.
Maybe it was something simple like, Joe, you were the worst candidate ever. Suck it, Donald. It's not beyond plausible, is it?
Certainly. And I love that concept because, of course, Donald Trump has accused Joe Biden of being the worst candidate ever. And, of course, Donald Trump went on to lose to who he described as the worst candidate ever, which literally means Donald Trump is the worst candidate ever.
He's worse than the worst candidate ever. 844-967-2789. I want to hear from our fair audience. You're going to celebrate the Inauguration Day. What do you think was in the letter from Trump to Joe Biden?
Brian, what do you think, man?
I'm very curious on
you
that.
think he's going to be like, he's going to make an attempt at being subtle or maybe like a little bit eloquent, like, of all the things that I've learned as 4 years of president, just the power of the pardon. Just wanted to remind you of how powerful a pardon can be, and especially unity and pardoning. You have a pardoning power. Just wanted to let you know, pardoning.
You have inherited the greatest economy ever. I am the jobs president.
When
you're
welcome,
do at least as good as I did.
It just says you're welcome.
When I think Donald Trump, I think subtle, nuanced.
It's your welcome, but YOUR welcome.
Hey, it's, or perhaps it's like, hey, Joe Biden, here's the football, but I want you to do me a favor though.
Here's the good news for Donald Trump. The only silver lining. His inaugural crowd substantially larger than Joe Biden's.
I'm not sure.
It could be close. So
and this parade though, Kurt, you and I were there, and I remember. I mean, they had stands, along the parade route when Donald Trump was elected, and
we didn't go to Trump's parade. We went to the bar.
Empty. We walked by. We were there, Crudy. They were empty. It was depleted, man.
It was a quick hustle. First raindrop, like 8 minutes into Trump's inaugural speech, and it was pretty dark. We pretty much had the sense of tone from there. We knew what the next 4 years was going to be. And I got to admit, college exceeded my expectations. Had a lot of fun in college. The last 4 years, far worse than my worst expectations.
Really? I mean,
yeah,
certainly with the pandemic. I mean, how do you top that? Right?
2 impeachments,
no wars.
Worse than my expectations.
Did you expect that he would get us into another war?
I didn't really. No,
he did drop the largest non-nuclear bomb ever. Congratulations there.
Dropping daisy cutters. I was
a little nervous when who'd he killed? The Iranian. When he killed the Iranian, I was somewhat nervous that he was ginning up for a war. And Trump would have thought, to his own political point of view, if he didn't tell the American people about a pandemic, he'd have no qualms whatsoever jumping us into a war if he thought it was electorally the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the fact that we're not in war, I guess that's a good thing.
He died like a dog.
Yes.
That is a good thing. But I think Trump more of a coward. I don't think there was no reason for a war. I wouldn't have encouraged Trump or Biden to start a war. But he's a coward, man. War is a option of last resort, or at least to my perception, should be. And that is the hardest decision any president should ever have to make. And I'm glad that Trump didn't have to deal with that one, because as far as I can tell, every other major test, every 3 a.m. phone call, he was always over at the porn star's house.
He was golfing.
Well, not at 3 a.m., but the proverbial 3 a.m. phone call in every freaking circumstance, every monumentous decision he had to make. He failed. He failed this nation. One man's opinion. I think lots of people's opinion. At least 81 million people agree with my assessment.
Are we going to play any of the Trump? He did speak today. You know, if you come to the party, could you bring 5 friends? And if they could bring 5 of their friends, and pretty soon you have a going away party.
You know, I did not get out of bed for this. I was up reading the paper, but I didn't even bother. I'm not sure. I guess, because here's the good news. He's no longer your president. He's former president, worst president ever, Donald J. Trump. I guess
These are the last words that he spoke to us as president.
Cut 10.
Great honor. The honor of a lifetime. Greatest people in the world.
Is this how the sound sounds? Turn it off. Screw Trump.
Yeah, that's not great. How about the I will be watching? I like that one. See if that sounds any better. Cut 15, please.
I will be watching, I will be listening, and I will tell you that the future of this country has never been better. I wish the new administration great luck and great success. I think they'll have great success. They have the foundation to do something really spectacular.
Yeah. And the Obama economy wasn't humming right along when you took over, right, Trump? You just handed off a pandemic and the resulting crashing of the economy and nearly 1 million jobless claims.
I've raised the entire building and left a strong foundation for you to build on.
Right. Just a couple more from the now former POTUS. Hope they don't raise taxes. Cut 16, please, Brian.
I hope they don't raise your taxes. But if they do, I told you so.
I hope they do raise
there were
your
literally
taxes.
Dozens of people there, it seemed like. Now let's go to the we will be back. We'll skip down. Cut number 20, please.
A goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form.
He's like the herpes of former presidents. Valtrex ain't getting rid of Trump.
And one more, cut 21. You can't work harder, Brian.
We'll never say in a month when we're sitting in Florida, we're not going to be looking at each other and saying, you know, if we only worked a little bit harder, you can't work harder.
He was very proud, very, very proud of his efforts, and he specifically identified his family, his kids, and how hard they worked for all of us. You can't work any harder, and of course he will be back. And I did see some reporting.
It's a sliding scale for billionaires, though, right? When you golf 1 out of every 3 days of your administration, that's not exactly busting your hump.
I don't know, man. Some people consider golf an athletic endeavor.
If you do it quick enough, right? That's how he justified it. And the same doctor that told us that Trump was the healthiest president ever, that guy died.
He's dead. Donald Trump saying he would be back in some way, some form, right? It's like, what? I mean, it's like Voldemort. What are we talking about here? Now, I did hear some stories about perhaps he would start a new political party and call it the Patriot Party. And I think to myself, that's a great idea. You should absolutely do that.
You know, the last time there was a Patriot Party in America, it was associated with the Black Panther Party. I wonder if he meant to do that. The Black Patriot Party, the Orange Patriot Party, 844-967-2789. They should have vetted that concept just a little bit harder. Catherine from Madison, welcome to the political party. How you feeling today, Catherine?
Hi.
Hey, Catherine.
I'm feeling an awful lot lighter, and you guys are just cracking me up. I'll tell you, I love. I was calling because I was in the Women's March the day after the inauguration, the last one.
Here in Madison or the one in D.C.?
No, in D.C. And we filled those bleachers. They were fantastic. They left them up, and the Women's March had these bleachers, and you couldn't see. The march was so huge, you couldn't see the end of it.
Catherine, I think I saw you there. Were you the lady in the pink hat?
Yes, the one with the little ears on it. That was me. Yeah, that was me. So anyway, at any rate, everybody was climbing up on the bleachers so they could see how far it went, and where everybody was coming from. And you actually had to wait to get onto the bleachers, some of them. So, I mean, we used those bleachers. We got our money out of it. That's for sure. Whoever put those up. So,
glad somebody used them.
Well, the taxpayers put those up.
They were empty. I know.
I mean, Catherine, that we were there as well, and to my perception,
Uh-huh.
that march was so huge, it was finished, and people were still at the beginning starting. It was just such a sea of people.
Oh, it was. Honest to God, you could not count it because by the time everybody was there, people were already leaving because they'd been there for hours. You know what I mean? It was like a rolling stream of people that just went on and on. And we took a train in from a suburb kind of area where my sister-in-law was living, and we couldn't get on the train because there was such a huge line just to get on the train.
You know,
And so we
Catherine, the
actually took the first
the day
Uber truck.
before the Trump inauguration day, Dominic and I got on the L about 1 hour before the inauguration. You know, we had Senator Ron Johnson's ticket, so we figured it'd be a quick trip in once we got there. So we get on the L, and there might be 8 or 10 people on each car. And Dom missed the train. Dom like had to follow in the next train because he missed the one I got on. So I found myself making friends, as I often do, Catherine. And I talked to some Trumper. You know, he's got the red hat on. I knew he was a Trumper. I said, where are all the people going to the inauguration? Oh, they've been there for hours. There's millions of them. So we get off the L, and I waited for Dom, you know, because I'm a friend like that. And there was maybe 30 protesters and the porta-johns. Here's where we knew it was over-exaggerated, the crowd size, Catherine. At least up at the VIP section, no lines. There wasn't a single person in line for hundreds of porta-johns. And then we walked in with
more porta-johns than people.
There were more porta-johns than people. And then, Catherine, we walked in proudly with Dog the Bounty Hunter. And we took a little selfie with the guy, and then we stood there, you know, maybe 100 yards, maybe a little bit less from the Capitol stairs where Trump was. And Dominic had gotten a free joint in DuPont Circle that morning, and he was supposed to smoke it. He was supposed to light it up 4 minutes and 20 seconds into Donald Trump's speech. And we got up, and we didn't actually watch Trump. We were standing up. We were the only ones, at least in the seated sections, looking back at the Washington Monument. And I've admitted many times it didn't seem like a hell of a lot of people, but it was a matter of perspective. We were at ground level. Trump had a better perspective than we did. And he, of course, is the one that lied about it. But Dominic, my little buddy, he chickened out, Catherine. He didn't carry through on his pledge to light that joint 4 minutes and 20 seconds into Trump's speech. But like 3 minutes later, he felt a raindrop and he said, "Let's go." I'm like, "Now?" He's like, "Yeah, now." So we left like 8 minutes into Trump's speech. It was like 18 minutes. We could hear it. It was being blared through the loudspeakers. But we were on a bar stool, and, you know, eventually we smoked that joint looking across Pennsylvania Avenue. So it was a good story all in all.
It was. Well, the Women's March was the exact opposite. We met someone who was coming back at the station where we had tried to get in and took an Uber instead. And she said it took her 3 hours to get on the train.
Our friend Scott Russ.
Johnson's going to have this hearing next week. The way in which he has misused and abused his office in order to try and further these crackpot theories he has. He had 2 anti-vaxxer hearings. I don't understand what the point of that is. It's one thing to be like, all right, if you're a Republican, you're like, I'll just try and forget that Trump said we might be able to inject ourselves with bleach to solve this COVID problem. But why would you so revel in your own crapulence that you would actually have several hearings in the United States Senate?
Listen to Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
America has chosen Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to lead our country. Now it's time to get to work. Time to expand healthcare and tackle the coronavirus pandemic. Time to restore our democracy and unify our nation. It's time to put this administration to work for us. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates, inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
The Devil's Advocates.
Darren from Madison tells us he's a former Capitol Police officer.
You can't even compare the two of what happened, yesterday and with Act 10.
Darren, did you as a Capitol Police officer ever witness any violence in the Wisconsin State Capitol?
Nope, not at all. It's about as peaceful can be when it comes to peaceful protesting. It was an unlawful assembly, but at the end of the day, there was no violence at the end of the day. It was people coming in and singing.
Listen to Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
The Devil's Advocates. Sausage making never looked so good.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show celebrating the inauguration of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, 2-day new administration, a new day. We're happy for right now. 844-967-2789.
Catherine, sorry to cut you short. I'm so exuberant here. I'm losing track of time.
You missed all the cues, Catherine.
Nah, it's the freaking, it's that I have to get a whole new set of sound bites now that we're not going to have Trump as much anymore. and I'm in the middle of doing it, and I thought we were in one segment and we were in a different one.
So you had like
totally my fault.
4 or 5 year Trump sound library, and now you got like 8 Joe Biden sound bites to work.
I got like 4 right now to work with. He's going to have to say some stupid stuff to catch up.
Now, Joe Biden walking up to the White House, he and Dr. Jill Biden walking up to the White House, they're out of the motorcade at this point. There was sort of a nice moment, but somewhat of a sad moment in light of the pandemic. Joe walked up and shook some hands with some people on the motorcade route. The president, they've been doing that, sort of a time-honored tradition. They stop at some point, the president gets out, and there were only 4 people there. It was a nice little family standing there, but they were the only people. So Joe kind of felt obligated to walk over and shake some hands. They were the only people on the parade route. I mean, there were a few more, but mostly it was just Secret Service, I suspect.
And thankfully, as they get ready to enter the White House, none of the violence and concerns of nationalists coming armed and trying to do something, so an additional insurrection, more efforts that didn't come to fruition today. So far, hopefully, the show of strength and the prosecution of those who were engaged will stifle that a bit. But when we talk about this unity and bringing people together. I think you brought it up. I mean, how do you unify with the Nazi? I don't think you can. So some people need to be set aside, and then we need to work with those who are reasonable people.
Fuck your feelings.
How long do you think they've been fumigating the White House?
Since Trump walked out the door.
Like since dawn, right? Trump left.
Yeah.
Daylight in D.C. this morning, like 7:23 a.m. And Trump was already at Andrews Air Force Base by 8 o'clock. Waving goodbye to virtually dozens, and then off to Florida. Because if he didn't, if his flight didn't arrive in time at 12:01 Eastern, Joe Biden could say, "Turn around, Air Force One, ground that flight, walk your ass," right? It's a good thought anyway. So Biden's in, Trump in Florida, Biden and Jill Biden standing at the entryway to the White House, and you got to be wondering. Well, they use a different bed. I would use a different bed. I'd go use Melania's bed. That one.
New mattress, new bed frames. I would imagine. I mean, I don't know how. I don't know. This is like a hotel room. Swapping over, just change the sheets. I think it'd be a little more detailed than that. I wouldn't want to be sleeping in Trump's mattress.
I would love to follow them room to room and just hear this.
Oh my God.
Because that's what I picture it being. Like every time you walk into a different room, oh my. What happened here? Oh,
what happened here?
What was there? What used to be there in that blank spot?
I think entirely as a country, we're all saying that. What just happened?
Oh my God.
Do you think Trump left the gold-plated toilet seats behind?
Absolutely not.
Oh, he probably got down and unscrewed those himself. They were collateral on some debt to Deutsche Bank.
He probably took the doorknobs and the cabinets, the countertops, the light fixtures. I mean, anything that wasn't screwed to the wall. And half the things that were screwed to the wall probably gone.
844-967-2789. It is.
I mean, that picture of naked Melania. I mean, that's worth something, right?
I know yours is well worn. Let's go to the phones. Our pal Mark from the SAC. Happy Inauguration Day, Mark. How you feeling, brother?
Hey, Mark.
Well, it was one heck of a, and this is not a fresh joke for me, but a heck of 100-degree temperature swing from minus 45 to plus 46 there in the White House.
Yeah.
And I hope there's an inventory taken of the silver in the White House as well. And I certainly hope that all the inspectors generals that were terminated during the last couple of years of the Trump administration have been, recalled to office, and along with all the paperwork they took home with them to, bring forth on Mike Pompeo for one, because apparently he's not one of the people that was pardoned. I mean that.
No, Steve Bannon got a pardon, but not Pompeo, not any of the kids, not any of the, Republican Congress people
that we know of
actively pushed towards sedition. A lot of people left out of the pardon list, Tom, and didn't drop that pardon list till the midnight hour.
Let's get some callers in. Steve from Milwaukee, you're next. Welcome. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Steve.
Hi, you guys. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Are you happy?
Feeling fairly happy. How about you, Steve?
I just took an 8-mile walk, and I just thought that the Biden should move in for 72 hours, and then all the beds should be stripped down to the mattresses there, and then new mattress pads, new everything. And after 3 days, then I think they could, then they could go in there. I would think all those COVID idiots, would have been in that building for so long.
Steve, do you think that would give time for the full exorcism to take place?
All right. You guys take care.
Thanks, man. 844-967-2789. Bill Press coming up at the top of the hour. Carol from Madison, you are next. What do you got for us?
Hey, Carol.
Hey, I heard that all of the Biden's furniture was coming down from Delaware and that they were going to be moving it in. And Melania used to sleep in the presidential bedroom, and that was going to be made up for Joe and Mrs. Biden. And Trump used to sleep in a study area in the private residence part. So they were just moving his crap out. I think too they're gonna find some stupid stuff like a gold toilet or gold sinks or some of that crap, and I think they should put it on eBay and auction it off to try to recoup some of the money that Trump has cost us.
Yeah,
but a lot of gold toilets to pay for the golf trips. Carol.
Something
Thanks
of
for the
a
call.
Tainted brand though, Carol. One more caller quick this hour. Paul from Monona. You got like a minute, Paul. What do you got for us?
Hey, Paul.
Hi, guys. I just want to thank you for everything you do, and I wanted to weigh in on the Patriot Party. We could shorten it to the PP Party, and they could take who's on the field dossier.
The PP, that sounds appropriate, Paul.
Have you been listening to Matt Flynn? Because he'd really appreciate that joke in the morning. Paul, have a wonderful Inauguration Day. Hope you're all tuning in for the big inaugural ball. The Devil's Advocates Cocktail Party starting at 7 o'clock Central Time. Those that have given, look in your inbox for a Zoom link. For the rest of you, try us on the DARNWI.com live stream. This will be a not FCC compliant sort of political party hosted by my little buddy Dominic and Prudy. Come back with us, hour 2. We ain't done with this show yet.
We will be back in some form.
Choose the form of the destructor.
If I were to guess, I have one name in mind.
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh my God. He needs to go back to where he came from.
Pat Slattery here of Slattery's Automotive Service. Winter's coming, and that means now's the time for you to start thinking about snow tires. Travel winter roads with ease on Hakkapeliitta snow tires. Hakkapeliitta is the top-of-the-line snow tire, made in Finland and eco-friendly. If it's snowing, they'll get you there. Give me a call at 608-848-6123 to get your set. Slattery's Automotive Service, your trusted choice for local service and repairs for all your automotive needs.
Hey, I'm Chris.
And I'm Fancy Brian.
And we are your hosts for a new podcast called On the Bus with Chris and Brian, where we welcome you on board the tour bus with artists from all over the place, giving you a taste for what life is really like on tour. This episode, filmmaker, musician, and New York Times bestselling author Jeff Alulis joins us on the program.
Podcasts drop every other Tuesday on doubleradio927.com.
No yelling on the bus!
You're listening to W224EG and WTTN 1580 AM, always streaming at doubleradio927.com.
News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Joe Biden made a stop at Arlington National Cemetery today, laying a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns. Next stop, the White House. Biden and wife Jill started walking along the way, greeting people from the street. As he inherits a deeply divided nation, the new president called on Americans to come together. Here's the AP Sagar Magani.
Moments after taking his oath of office, the president noted anger, resentment, and hatred. A polarized America still reeling from a threat to democracy itself. He says it's time to end this uncivil war.
Let's start afresh. All of us.
Saying the nation needs the collective strength of all Americans to get through a dark winter. Standing at a Capitol assaulted by Trump backers 2 weeks ago, he's urging his predecessor supporters to give him a chance.
If you still disagree, so be it. That's democracy. That's America.
Saying without unity, there is no peace. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Former First Lady and former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton told the AP this was the perfect moment for Joe Biden.
The moment and the man are made for each other. He brings a deep sense of empathy, rising out of his own personal experiences.
Former President Donald Trump was not at the inauguration. He left Washington early and is home in Florida.
The things that we've done have been just incredible, and I couldn't have done it without you. So just a goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form.
President Biden's team has started moving into the White House, unpacking belongings and getting the badges that grant them easy access to the property. Biden plans to sign a flurry of executive orders, some overturning actions by former President Trump once he gets to the Oval Office. With the closing bell sounding on Wall Street, stocks are higher. This is AP News.
Hello, Bill.
Hey, Dom. How you
Last
doing?
night's sleep.
Fruit, I guess, right?
Actually, I'm Brian. You'll be talking to Dom pretty shortly.
That's it. With new ZQL night pain.
It's cool, man. Right now, I cannot see you, but you just got to turn your video on.
With a maximum strength pain reliever. So you can fall asleep fast and wake feeling rested, because pain should never get in the way of a great night's sleep. New
Now we see. You look great, man.
Thank you. Sleep soundly. Available at retailers near you.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something.
Crudy's got his hand up.
Those days are over. Now I feel
And I'm Brian. I'm the guy talking.
And Brian. Intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge. And I'm
Awesome. We got about 3 minutes here.
every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more.
Say that one more time, my friend.
Want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah. That's good. Very good stuff.
Coupon and daily support. Sign up at Metamucil.
Excellent. I'm going to put you, I'm going to turn you down, and we'll talk to you in about 3 minutes or so, Bill.
All right. Cool.
Thank you very much for your time.
Weekly Ask the Expert radio segment or show on Devil Radio. Let us help you in your business. Team with our broadcast professionals to create the right show or segment setting you apart as the go-to professional and is an expert in your field. All shows and sponsored segments are podcasted. It will be professional broadcast quality. Packages from $395. Call Devil Radio today at 608-819-TALK.
Hey, I'm Chris.
And I'm Fancy Brian.
And we are your hosts for a new podcast called On the Bus with Chris and Brian, where we welcome you on board the tour bus with artists from all over the place, giving you a taste for what life is really like on tour.
I have so many stories to tell you guys. I just wish I remembered them all.
Fancy Brian, don't you ever run for office. Live vicariously through those who actually live these stories from the road.
Podcasts drop every other Tuesday on doubleradio927.com.
No yelling on the bus!
Hey folks, Patrick here from Pegasus Games, here to remind you that we're open for all your at-home gaming needs, both online at pegasusgames.com or in-store from noon to 6, with extended hours on Saturday and Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to noon for high-risk customers. From our new line of puzzles to pass the time, to the perfect board game to reconnect with family and friends. Walk-ins welcome or curbside pickup available over the phone or online at pegasusgames.com. Pegasus Games, home to games you never outgrow.
This is Chad Spate, owner of Chad's Design Build. For almost 30 years, we've been improving, restoring, and expanding homes while also advocating for social and economic justice. Most of our clients want to build back better, while some want to make their old house great again. At Chad's Design Build, we'll listen to your needs, carefully assess your home, and then provide thoughtful solutions which respect you, your home, and your budget. We are proud of the relationships we have built. On behalf of Chad's Design Build, thank you.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Wednesday, January 20th. Madison could spend more than $1 million to buy more land to help guide future growth and protect against gentrification and displacement on the fast-evolving south side of Madison. Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway and City Council President Sherry Carter are proposing to use $1.2 million from a special city land purchase fund to buy lots just off of South Park Street. GE Healthcare has laid off about 140 employees at its Madison facility as the need for new ventilators and anesthesia machines has decreased, according to union representatives. The Madison City Council voted 13-4 against an appeal Edgewood High School filed last year seeking to overturn a denied permit to install 4 field lights at the school's field off of Monroe Street. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the inaugural day edition of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we've been joined by the finest of guests. He is Bill Press, political talker, liberal pundit, author, CNN political contributor. We'd like to think a friend of ours. Bill, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
Hey, guys, happy inauguration. You can see I am in costume here, right? I got my...
I was just questioning the logic of you putting on a face mask. We're not in the same room, Bill. We're not in D.C. with you. You're on a Zoom call, and I see you putting on a mask, and it's got a presidential seal on one side and a 46 on the other.
46, and I wear it proudly as an
Proudly.
American.
Very stylish, Bill.
It's been some time since we could perhaps be proud of our president.
Again, doesn't it feel good again? I got to tell you guys. So I live on Capitol Hill, right? And from our bedroom deck, we can see the Washington Monument. And I saw the most beautiful sight in my entire life today, about 8:15, when Marine One came up past the Washington Monument, circled around the Capitol, and we were out on our deck. Yay, 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 yay. And you know what? We looked around the neighborhood and everybody else was out on the deck, right? And they were all cheering just to see this guy, this clown, just get the hell out of town, right?
Bill, was there any champagne uncorked this morning?
The mimosas, perhaps?
I wish I'd thought of that at the time.
I didn't even get up for Trump. I read the paper. I was out of bed, but I didn't get up and watch the television. I didn't care so much to see him go. I'm glad he's gone.
I told Carol, I told her I don't want to see him leave. I don't want anything to do. I was just going to wait until it was Biden time at the Capitol. But she convinced me we ought to go up and take a look at it. I'm glad he did. But I got to tell you, I really felt like this dark cloud had just lifted off the nation. Right, there's this universal, national, coast to coast sigh of relief. To see that, and then to see Air Force One take off, and he keeps saying I'll be back. Yeah, he's like George III. He's not coming back.
Bill Press, what was the insurrection like? Did you observe any of that from your home, or were you watching on TV? What was your reaction when it happened in real time, sir?
Well, I couldn't freaking believe it. Right. I got to tell you, that was 2 weeks ago, huh? Think about that. The last 3 Wednesdays, right? That was 2 weeks ago. 1 week ago was impeachment number 2, and today was inauguration. I mean, God, our heads are spinning, right? But Wednesday, I just decided I wasn't going to go near the Capitol. But the day before, so the 5th of January, I usually walk down the mall just to get my exercise, right, from the Hill. And so I walked down there Tuesday, and already there were some barriers, but just these low little fences that you could really jump over, right? And there were already Trumpers on the east side. I'm sorry, the west side, where the ceremony was held today. That lawn in front of the Capitol, between the Capitol and the reflecting pool, there were Trumpers in there. And I mean, they were holding a little rally. They had speakers, and I'm thinking, what the hell? I mean, and I remember when I got back, I said to Carol, boy, I don't know if there's a crowd there tomorrow, how they're going to hold these people back. I never thought it would be that bad, but just that is our sacred spot, right? That's like the Vatican for this country in the sense of sacred ground. And to see it trampled by that, destroyed by that, and these people, and the more we know about it, the worse it is. They were really out to overthrow the United States government. It was not just, we disagree with policy. They were to stop Congressman doing his job, overthrow the United States government, and kill some leaders of Congress and hang the vice president. I mean, Jesus,
Bill, you act like that's a bad thing.
I didn't know you couldn't do that.
That's right. I mean, to what level have we come? And then afterward, to see some of these Republicans unbelievably still vote, right? Not to accept the electoral count was just unbelievable. And I just can't believe it. Trump still hasn't acknowledged. He didn't even mention Biden this morning when he left, right?
Well, he wishes the next administration luck. And of course, he handed them a very good foundation, don't you know, Bill?
Yeah, he says they're going to be successful because we left them in such good shape. Like we have the worst health crisis in over 100 years. Like we got one of the most serious economic crises we've ever had. Like we've got this whole issue of racial justice, which we're dealing with, right? But which is, I mean, you go on and add all the things that Biden's got to fix. And he's the guy I think who can do it. But let's face it, he starts off with a bigger set of challenges than anybody probably since FDR. But I thought his speech today, he knocked it out of the park. His inaugural address, I thought was just the right tone. I hope people take him seriously. He is who he is. I mean, he says, hey, Trumpers out there, just hear me out. Give me a shot. Take a look at what I do. If you don't like it, that's fine. But, you don't destroy the country because you don't come in and tear down the Capitol because you may not like what I want to do on immigration. But I'll tell you the other thing. I know I'm just going on and on here, but it's a big day. I'm really excited about today. I think that Joe Biden's got to go. I wrote a column 2 days ago in the Hill newspaper that Biden has to go big and bold. And today, he actually said that. in his inaugural address. We've got to go bold. We've got to go big. And he's, he'll be in the White House, I guess, if he's not already there in a few minutes. And he's going to sign these executive orders today. Talk about starting off with a bang, So dreamers, done. They're going to be permanent dreamers from now on, and a path to citizenship. Paris Climate Accords, boom, we're back in. You go down the list. 15 of them, they say he's going to sign this afternoon.
Bill, don't accuse Joe of stealing your good ideas from the Hill column. The righties, that's all the ammunition they'll need. They'll be crying plagiarism, sir.
I don't know about you, but I've always been disappointed at Bill Clinton, same with Barack Obama. So often Democrats get in power and they feel we've got to be Mr. Nice Guy, right? We can't rock the boat. We got to go slowly. We got to, no, Republicans don't feel that way. They get power, they use it. What's the sense of having power if you don't do everything you can? And particularly in the first 2 years, because you never know what's going to happen in the midterms, right? So I say, balls forward, man. Just go and screw the Republicans. If they want to come on board, fine. If not, tough, you know what.
Fuck your feelings.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Bill Press, a friend of ours, joining us via the Zoom. Bill, always a pleasure to talk to you. It was a shame we couldn't come down this year like we did the last inauguration. I appreciate you hosting us.
We're coming around in 4 years, Bill. We're crashing on your couch, buddy.
You don't have to wait every 4 years, you guys, to come to town. But I remember we were together last time for sure. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, good time. We appreciate it, Bill. The unity cries. This is so bothersome to me, Bill. We haven't, there hasn't been really any justice delivered yet. Certainly people are being investigated for their roles in the insurrection. But for the politicians to get up there, Ted Cruz and Hawley, what do you think? I mean, this is, Bill, you've been around a long time, man. And you've been watching and paying attention to politics for a very long time. Have you ever seen anything like this from elected officials? And what should be their comeuppance for inciting this riot, in your opinion, Bill?
No, I've never seen anything like it. No, we have never seen anything like it. And I think I think every last one of them who voted that January 6th not to accept the electoral count should be thrown out of Congress. I think they should expel every last one of them. Short of that, because I don't know whether you could get enough votes in Congress for that, even among Democrats. I think that Jamie Harrison, I think is great as a new DNC chair, but I'd like to see a concerted, organized campaign starting right now. 139 members of the House in 2000 and what do we call it, in 22, right? Take down every last one of them. Just the biggest grassroots operation, fundraising operation, and ground operation that we've ever seen. Take down every one of those 100 and the 8 senators who voted for it too, as soon as they're up. But I guess short of that, we could censure Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz, particularly those two. But you can't just let it go. You can't just let it pass, right? And say, well, that was then, this is now. No. This was sedition. This was really anti-American. I mean, they were really trying to destroy this country.
Even if they bring you roses, Bill, you can't forgive them then. Hey, Bill Press, you got a few more minutes for the Devil's Advocates, buddy? Can we keep you around one more segment?
Hey, my day is yours. Yes, absolutely. Okay.
All right. Excellent. We are the Devil's Advocates. That is Bill Press. You know him. You love him. From CNN. He's a liberal political talker. Everybody knows who Bill Press is. Come back with us. Wish we were at your house, Bill, but we're doing it on the radio. You can always join us right here, Devil's Advocates.
I want you to be nice until it's time to to not be nice.
F your feelings.
Kind of makes me feel like river dancing.
My Congresswoman Rep. Gwen Moore, over 100 Republicans signing on to that Texas lawsuit. What are your thoughts on your fellow Republicans in the House?
You know, honestly, this is what we all sign up for. This is a democracy. You run races. I've been involved in races where people lose, and I'm ashamed of the fact that we had one congressman, I guess he's brand new, who voted for this nonsense.
Listen to Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
We did it. All across this nation, voters like you turned out in record numbers to elect Joe Biden. Now, it's time to come together to address the issue that matter most, tackling climate change, expanding access to healthcare, ensuring racial justice, and putting Americans back to work. Text ACT to 668366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Hold.moveon.org not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
She was 27 years old. She took the gun that my grandfather had given her for self-defense. She never got to see her son grow up to be anything. Because she had easy access to a gun, I've been robbed of that relationship.
63 Americans a day die by gun suicide. With safe gun storage, we can give our loved ones a second chance at life. Learn more at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
We've got U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, our friend, live via phone. Ron, in all seriousness, if this was Barack Obama, you'd be screaming, "Stormy, stormy, stormy," from the rooftops.
You're too young to understand this excuse. This would be the Sergeant Schultz answer. I know nothing.
But as the chair of the HISCAC, sir, Homeland Security Governmental Affairs Committee, you could get to the bottom of this, could you not, Ron?
I see nothing. I know nothing.
Making radio great again.
And I'm feeling good.
The Devil's Advocates. Making radio great again.
It's America.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Our guest, Bill Press. You can find him at Bill Press Pod. He's a liberal pundit, author, CNN political contributor, and was chairman of the California Democratic Party from 93 to 96. Bill, thanks for sticking around. I guess in that sense, in your role, I wanted you to reflect back, perhaps going back to 93 when you were in charge of California's party. Jamie Harrison, you mentioned you are approving of that selection. After the insurrection, a lot of the corporate dollars kind of dried up, and they dried up in some regards to both certainly Republicans, but also some Democrats, and people just saying, we're just not going to play anymore. And certainly with Citizens United and money in politics and all these issues that we have to deal with. How do you think Jamie Harrison and the crew is going to manage and work with this new system that we have, which is entirely different from when you were in charge in California back in the 90s, Bill?
Then
oh, hang on, Bill, we're getting some volume from you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go. We got you. Go ahead.
Back then, it was still a matter of getting as many big checks as you could and whining and dining, and taking care of the donors and these big high dollar dinners, right? Which I always hated. But now it's a whole new world, man. You got $5, you're a player now, right? You got $5 you can give to 100 candidates or 10 candidates, whatever you can do. I mean, and you know who to thank for that? Number one, Howard Dean, and then Bernie. Bernie just revolutionized, proving in 2016 you could raise more money with little dollars than you can with big dollars. So it's totally different now. But here's what I think Jamie Harrison should do. And I haven't talked to him yet since he's been chair, but is he ought to go to these corporate people who came up and said, look how good we are. We're not going to give any money to those guys that voted to overturn the Electoral College or did not vote to accept the electoral vote, however you want to put it. Those 139 and those 8 senators, we're not going to give them any money. No, that's not good enough. Jamie's got to go and said, hey, come on, guys, let's show a little strength here. No, you got to give money to the people running against them. You got to help us take them down. And I think if you add the labor unions and those corporate, that corporate money and whatever grassroots that the Democratic Party can organize, we could take most of them out. And by the way, I think that was a test of citizenship. They take an oath in office. We heard it today to defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. Those are domestic terrorists that we saw, right? The people who stormed the Capitol and the people, I believe, who voted basically against the Electoral College, which is our democratic system, like it or not.
Bill Press, how much do you think they were encouraged by the listeners and the pundits of Righty Whitey Talk Radio? Rush Limbaugh and the sort. And is there a solution? Because whether or not Trump's gone, Right Wing Talk Radio is still out there. I think they're pulling a 13 share in Milwaukee last time I checked.
God, yeah. No, we know that a big amount of, I don't want to say credit, blame certainly goes to the extreme right-wing talk radio. They've been feeding this crap and feeding the lies and repeating the lies long before Donald Trump, right? And then he just came along and he started saying from the White House what they've been saying. Look at Rush Limbaugh. Remember when Obama was first elected in 2008, right? Rush Limbaugh said, what's all this talk about? We hope he succeeds. No, I don't want him to succeed. I want him to fail, right? And then all the Rush wannabes say the same thing. Look, I don't know what we can do about it except what you guys are doing about it, which is not just be as good as they are, but be better than they are. The problem is, this is another whole discussion. You and I have talked about this. There are just not enough openings, not enough platforms for progressive talk radio in this country because too many people that own the stations won't put good progressives on the air.
Well, Bill, that's because they miss people like you in the lineup. I got at least one more question for you.
Okay. I keep looking at Brian for my time cues here.
Donald Trump wrote a letter, apparently honored that tradition, left a letter for Joe Biden. Bill, what's in the Trump letter to Biden? In your opinion, sir?
Did you guys, have you seen Hamilton?
Not in person, but on the.
Okay. My favorite character in Hamilton, I referenced it earlier, is George III. And that song when he says, I'll be back. Right? I think that's what Donald Trump said. Don't get too used to this because I'll be back. Let me tell you something. In my opinion, he ain't never coming back. He is done. And I do think the Republican Party, with Mitch McConnell's help, believe it or not, are going to try to leave Donald Trump in the dust. I want to predict on your.
Do you think he gets impeached? Do you think Donald Trump gets convicted for impeachment?
I think he's been impeached twice. I think he gets convicted. And I think Mitch McConnell will vote to convict him.
How about in a court of law? Will he get convicted there, Bill?
God, let's hope so. New York. Come on, New York.
He didn't pardon himself, Bill. He's vulnerable to
absolutely. Federal indictment. So is Rudy Giuliani. And I hope they share a cell on Rikers Island. It would be too good for them.
Dinner's always the most important meal in jail, Bill.
He knows.
Talker Bill Press, he's our friend.
I want to go there.
I have gone there, Bill. He's Bill Press, CNN political contributor, liberal pundit, author, and we'd like to thank a friend of ours, Bill. Can't wait for the second inauguration of Joe Biden. We'll come to your house. Hope you enjoy the party. I hope there's something going on a little bit fun in DC today. I hope you can socially distance, have a few cocktails. What do you got in your hand right now, Bill? Or I see you set it down.
Well, this is just an iced tea for now.
Oh, that's what you claim.
A Long Island iced tea. Bill Press, thank you so much. We appreciate it as always.
See you soon.
Right. Happy 46, Bill. Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. Phone lines open for you, celebrating the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Phone lines at 844-967-2789. We'll go there next.
America is back.
From the Capitol in Madison, This is Wiz Politics Midday.
I'm Stephanie Hoff, your host, and this podcast is brought to you by Spectrum. Republican leaders are unconvinced that the governor needs a special session bill to begin overhauling the state's unemployment insurance computer system. Pat Pabletti is on the line with me today for more on the headbutting going on over the UI system. For background, Governor Tony Evers announced the special session last week. His proposal would cost an expected $90 million over 10 years to modernize the system. But Republicans don't like that idea, right, Pat?
Yeah, that's right, Stephanie. And let's start with Assembly Majority Leader Jim Steineke. Now, after helping gavel in this special session yesterday that ultimately resulted in no action, what Steineke told reporters is the bill that would allocate $5.3 million just to start modernizing the system was not necessary. So let's take a quick listen to what he had to say yesterday.
The governor has waited for almost a year to propose anything that could end up solving this issue when he has had this ability all along. And that's the thing that's frustrating for us is he does this dog and pony show with the special session when he has the unilateral ability to do this on his own. So if he's looking for legislative approval to start moving forward, he's got it.
In the latest Wisp Business, the podcast episode, I sat down with DWD Secretary Amy Pahacek. This is how she described the mainframe.
You know, our mainframe is so outdated, Stephanie, that if a claimant needs to get documentation to the unemployment division to help support their claim, they either have to mail it or fax it. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I don't know who owns a fax machine anymore. It's unbelievable.
Is this pretty much what Dems are arguing?
Pretty much, Stephanie. I have to say that podcast was really good. I gave it a listen and enjoyed it a lot. And I would recommend people who are curious about kind of the inner workings of how DWD is handling this backlog or has handled this backlog, go and check that out. But to answer your question, yeah, Stephanie, and remember, during Evers' State of the State address last week, he kind of criticized it. He said, and this is something we talked about on this podcast last week as well. So he said essentially that the UI system is not as old as he is, but it was created during the Nixon administration, so it does have some years on it now. And then as for this whole proposal, I'll flip back over to give the legislative view from Democrats, and this came from Assembly Minority Leader Gordon Hintz, who kind of slammed GOP lawmakers for their inaction. He essentially likened it to Republicans missing a deadline to secure $25 million in federal aid to cover the first week of jobless benefits. And that happened last year back when we were first doing a state COVID relief package, and lawmakers waited until mid-April to pass a COVID-19 bill. Essentially what Hintz said here is Republicans are choosing to play politics and point fingers at Evers at the expense of those who are struggling with the economic fallout from the pandemic.
Going back to those interviews with Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu and Steineke, we also learned the two GOP caucuses have yet to resolve their standoff over a COVID-19 bill.
That's right, Stephanie. And if you'll remember a little bit of background here, the Assembly passed its COVID-19 bill along party lines in the first week of January before the Senate went on to amend it by stripping out a host of provisions and passing a bill that LeMahieu negotiated with Evers, and Evers subsequently called on the Assembly to pass. Now, Steineke said yesterday that the Assembly...
Unlike the legislative Republicans, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM are working through the pandemic to keep you informed. Streaming 24/7 at DARNWI.com.
Women want them. Men want to be them. Tom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. 844-967-2789. Sorry, man.
I was trying to let the Foo Fighters breathe a little bit. Yeah, let the
Foo Fighters rocking and rolling tonight in D.C.
They're playing the inaugural ball. We're having our own little inaugural ball. Check your inboxes. All those that ever gave a donation on the GoFundMe or the Patreon. You've got a link in your inbox. You can join the virtual cocktail party. The inaugural ball, if you will, starts at 7 Central Time. The rest of you, don't want to exclude anyone, you can stream this not ready for broadcast, not FCC compliant party at DARNWI.com. Everyone can listen in, but you got to be super cool to join the virtual cocktail party, right, Dom?
That's right. The Zoom invite. So we look forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, 844-967-2789. I want to thank our friend Bill Press, liberal pundit. You know him. You love him. Always a pleasure when Bill comes around.
Yes, Bill Press, you're my hero. You're always my hero when you call the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Let's get back to the phones. Next up, I believe, will be Kurt from Madison. Kurt, welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, Kurt.
Hell, solid foundation. They better get the hell out of there. It's probably built on a sinkhole.
Right.
Are we talking about the administration, the strength of the economy that Trump left for Biden, or the foundation under Mar-a-Lago? Because there are lots of sinkholes in Florida, I hear.
Given his reference point, a child could take it upward from here. I mean, we are at the bottom of the bottom. And I'm not diminishing or denigrating Biden's role, but geez Louise, it's like Bill Press said, it's full guns. Start rubber stamping, pushing stuff through as fast as possible. No Mr. Nice Guy. I mean, Moscow Mitch, I read the article of going to Schumer and saying, let's talk about how we're going to share power. Well, bite me, Moscow. You're out. You're no longer the guy.
Yeah, but there will still have to be some sort of formal rules that are passed for procedure. And the question, of course, is whether or not there will be a filibuster and whether or not people like Joe Manchin would have the courage along a straight party line vote to eliminate the filibuster. I mean, even my man Bernie Sanders, who wore that same old jacket to the inauguration today, the jacket, Kurt, you've seen it before.
I'm once again asking
I
you.
watched.
But Bernie Sanders is not in favor, last time I checked, of eliminating the filibuster. And you need all of them. You need every Democratic vote. So if you're not going that route, it doesn't seem like the Democrats will, because they won't bring Joe Manchin along, and they probably won't even bring Bernie Sanders along. So if you can't do it without a filibuster-proof majority, because they've only got 50 and they need 60, the only thing you can really jam down Mitch McConnell's throat is budgetary stuff. And Bernie Sanders, he's got that gavel. He's the new chair of the budget committee, or will be very, very soon.
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying Democrats have to start getting more creative. McConnell's always found a way to take the screws to Democrats. Democrats need to find the most devious characters they can get their hands on and turn the tables on him.
Are we racing to the bottom, Kurt? I mean, I'm not saying when they go low, we go high. I'm not Michelle Obama over here.
No, I'm talking fair play, but no more kissy, nice. Come on, start growing a spine and stand up straight and say, we're just not going to do it that way.
Well, I've never been down for the kissy, nice face. That's more the Dominic tact. I'm more of the give it to you straight guy, Kurt.
I love the love, Kurt. Thanks for the call. And I think you're right. I mean, certainly, politically aware folks, leadership with some spine, as you mentioned, is going to certainly be necessary. But the reality is what the reality is. They're going to have to come up with some sort of agreement on the committees and so forth. Was it Trent Lott, I think, was the last time they had a 50-50 Senate. My understanding that it will probably look similar to what it was back then as far as the arrangement they had in the Senate.
It was a little more collegial back then.
Well, yeah, you didn't
Ted
have
Cruz
guys like
wasn't
Hawley calling
serving.
for an insurrection. Yeah, that's a problem. And I think, certainly there still has to be some comeuppance for those who engaged in this. And how does that impact, literally the working environment for both Republicans and Democrats in the House and the Senate? Certainly something going to have to be done. Certainly there's a lot of frayed feelings. And when you got, culty Trumpist Republicans screaming through the halls of Congress, screaming out to hang Mike Pence and, shoot Nancy Pelosi. Well, that can cause for a difficult work environment. And there's going to have to be something that HR is going to have to step in and help handle this thing.
Dominic, just a matter of minutes until the Senate president Vice President Kamala Harris swears in the new Democratic senators, Warnock and Ossoff. And by virtue of that, Dom, also Sanchez, I believe, from California. Maybe I've got the name wrong. The replacement senator, the Newsom appointment from California to fill in the place of Kamala Harris. Well, let's check in with a friend from California. It's Margot calling in from Arcata. Margot, who is your new senator? I didn't mean to get it wrong.
It is the former Secretary of State, Alex Padilla.
My bad.
Mm-hmm. So that's a happy day, and this is a wonderful day, and I want to thank you for bringing progressive radio into our area. It's something I listen to you guys every day. And also, I wanted to say that I certainly agree with Bill Press. We should be coming for every single one of those people in the House of Representatives and Senator Cruz and the man from Missouri, the miserable man from Missouri. I think those people should know that those people that ride the tiger are often in danger of ending up inside it. Mm-hmm. And I hope that's what's going to happen to all of them. Miserable cretins, whatever.
Margot, you've got excellent taste in radio. We appreciate you listening along on KGOE 1480 AM. Any other final thoughts? You got a party tonight, Margot?
Well, no, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're in the purple tier here in Arcata, so I'll be home celebrating with my cat, but that's okay. That's fine. I'm talking to my friends, and we're all ecstatic about new day coming. And I do want to tell you that I live in a county with 137,000 people. So it's a small county. And out of those 137,000, we had 21,000 something voting for Donald Trump. And we had people in this county featured on local television, getting in their cars, going to Washington, D.C. prior to the 6th of this month to celebrate, and who knows what else they're doing. I hope that local law enforcement here have their eyes on these people to see what they're up to when they come back. Maybe they're already back.
Well, Margot, let's hope they're sitting in a holding cell somewhere. Appreciate you listening on KGOE. Be like Margot, call the Devil's Advocates. It doesn't cost you nothing. It's always free. And Margot, I hope you party with the Devil's Advocates a little bit later. Our inaugural ball, even if you don't have the Zoom link, you can always tune into our live stream. Once again, it's DARNWI.com. Hope you tune in tonight, Margot. Join the party. And let's get back to a party girl on the phones, 844-967-2789. Our pal, Profane Ronnie. Ronnie, I know if there's a good party going on, you're going to be there.
Hey, Ronnie.
Hi, guys. I can't wait to actually see your faces again. Oh, my God. It's been too long.
They're damn good-looking faces, Ronnie. I mean, really, that's the only limiting part about radio.
Yeah. I wanted to say I want to agree with what Kurt said and frame it just a little differently. We were so excited when Obama got elected, and he pretty much, yes, he got the Affordable Care Act done, but he squandered the entire 2 years reaching across the aisle. I want to work together, kumbaya. And yeah, he got it through, but it was pulling teeth. I agree with Kurt. We got to go in and we got to take our action right away. We've got the House, we've got the Senate. I understand that there has to be, some reaching across the aisle. We're going to have to agree on rules and whatnot. But we're in power now, and we gotta fix what Donald Trump and the Republicans have done. So we can't be pussyfooting around, just kind of waiting and taking everybody's temperature on this.
Well, the last time I saw Trump reaching across the aisle, it was for the Helsinki hand job. And while I'm certainly not going to play defense for Barack Obama 12 years later, I would remind people Barack Obama needed 60 votes. and he didn't have Al Franken seated for nearly a year in that Norm Coleman race up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't all Obama's fault, although I think he lost a little bit of momentum. I would have led with a jobs program, but moving forward to a Biden presidency.
Well, and to, I think, some of our callers' points, time is of the essence, certainly, right? I mean, this has to happen now. And I think, when you see President Biden going and signing these executive orders today, showing that, time is of the essence. We need to do these things now. We need to act now, certainly on a whole range of issues. Now, to get some legislative weight behind it, certainly we're going to have to drag some Republicans along kicking and screaming. And, where we can find common ground, great. And when we don't need it, to hell with them. They wouldn't ask us if the shoe was on their foot.
844-967-2789. Let's get a listener from AM 950 in Minneapolis. Brad, welcome to the party. What do you got for us?
Hey, Brad.
Oh, thank you. I was, listening to Fox, and they always talk about the Constitution. Well, it's time we put Article 14 in action with our Congress of our Constitution. Get rid of those bad people.
Which would be a simple... I'm sorry, Brad. Say that last part again.
We need to get rid of them, and we need to get rid of them now.
Brad, have you heard any of the righties talking about the same thing, that they have any regret or that any of those Congress folks or senators should be kicked out? Have you heard that at all? All these constitutionalists, originalists, so concerned about protecting the Constitution. Have you heard anybody mention that on the right?
No, they don't talk about the Constitution. They don't tell you what it is. They say we're upholding it, but they don't tell you what articles are in there or anything. They don't say anything like that on the right. They don't want you to know what the Constitution actually is.
Well, they want you to believe what their interpretation of the Constitution is. Brad, a little tip of the hat to Minnesota's own Senator Amy Klobuchar. Going to play some sound from the inauguration, cut 38.
When an angry, violent mob staged an insurrection and desecrated this temple of our democracy, it awakened us to our responsibilities as Americans.
One more from Senator Klobuchar from Minnesota, cut 39.
Have we become too jaded, too accustomed to the ritual of the passing of the torch of democracy to truly appreciate what a blessing and a privilege it is to witness this moment? I think not.
I love that Midwestern twang. When Amy Klobuchar started speaking today, everyone in the studio knew it was Amy Klobuchar. Right. She's got that Minnesota twang, that Midwestern nice thing going on. I thought to myself, she got out of the presidential race and all she got was a little speaking spot at the inauguration. But I understand she's also got some powerful committee assignments coming up in the new congressional term. Our pal, LA Tom corrected me also. Alex Padilla, the new senator to be sworn in today, I believe, from California. He joins Ossoff and Warnock in the 50-50 split. You throw in Kamala Harris as the president of the Senate, and it's 51-50. And who needs a filibuster, man? Let's jam everything through. Come back with us. We'll jam in more phone calls at 844-967-2789.
We do not train to be merciful here. Mercy is for the weak.
I've sentenced boys younger than you to the gas chamber. Didn't want to do it, till I owed it.
It's nice.
Listen to Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
Thanks for the job you do. It sure showed in the Supreme Court.
But I just want to thank you guys for your program.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't get enough credit for this. We've never had a voice ever in this state.
So I think you guys really need to take a bow.
Thanks again for your work. It's really important.
You need these guys. They're there for all of us.
You're welcome, everybody, and thank you.
Biden won because of you. Because you stayed in line to vote even when you got tired. Because you knew that your vote is power. Because you understood what was at stake. And because you showed up, we now have the power. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Once again, the American public has some reading to do. In a 29-page indictment today, Americans need to take a look at page 6, paragraph 20, and here come those important 8 words: to interfere with the 2016 U.S. presidential election. That is it.
Jim, I'm going to make a confession on behalf of the panel. Dom's not going to read the indictments.
Come on, maybe.
The Devil's Advocates, political commentary from the back of the class. The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
Do you see what he did there? It's not off the 5150 album, but it made him think old Van Halen. We are the Devil's Advocates. We got the greatest producer ever. He's Fancy Brian. That's him playing the keyboards on the video.
I have at least
air keyboard.
4 levels of different keyboards on my fake keyboard that I play.
Your air keyboarding for the people. We'll get back to the phones momentarily. My final thought for this segment, Dom, or at least an opening thought. Trump flew on Air Force One down to Florida and got off the plane and gave one more pardon. 144 in total. Do you see who he pardoned? The last pardon, the
Piro's ex-husband.
Jeannie Pirro. Fox News Judge Jeannie Pirro's ex-husband, a real estate developer and apparently criminal, was the 144th pardon and commutation from Trump. And he did it after he got to Florida, before apparently they claim Joe Biden took the oath of office.
Oh, so the check must have cleared late. Well, you know, there was a federal holiday on Monday.
I think Judge Jeannie probably called him and said, I will crucify your ass on Fox News each and every night if you don't give my ex a pardon.
Yeah, but the ex? I mean, why the ex?
Well, probably so he has more earning potential and can pay a higher divorce settlement to Judge Jeannie. But I got to say, if I were married to Judge
I'm not clear
Jeannie,
that Jeannie isn't the one bringing home the cash in that formal relationship.
How could you possibly misjudge this?
If I was married to Judge Jeanine Pirro, no amount of money would keep me from divorcing that woman, whatever it took. I would commit felonies if that's what it took.
Are you now, or have you ever worked for Russia?
Yeah, just put me in prison. 844-967-2789. I believe Jake from Milwaukee will be next. Jake, welcome. Happy Inauguration Day.
Yeah. Hey, I just was thinking, you know, do you think Trump clogged the toilet on his way out as a last snuff to Biden? I mean,
purposefully or otherwise?
Purposefully.
Like jam paper towels down and flushed?
Yeah.
Try to put a White House robe in there and a plunger and just jammed it all up?
I mean, his presidency is like toilet anyway, so you might as well end it that way, right? I mean, I'm just saying, maybe we'll find out later. But yeah.
Well, now that you said it, Jake, we can always say, well, some people are talking about it. Some people say, some people believe that Donald Trump killed the plumbing at the White House. We should have a full investigation, Jake.
There are cherry bombs in every toilet and toilet paper in every tree outside the White House right now.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
This is what I am I'm asking and what I think. I am looking forward to Mitch McConnell being the most hated man in the United States.
I thought he already was.
Yeah, well, he's now the most powerful Republican, and he deserves nothing for what he's doing, to Trump or anything now. It's political calculation. No one should trust the man, and he should get all the venom that is coming to him. Because now that Trump's gone, it's going to... Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jack. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. He's going to get it. I heard Righty Whitey Talk Radio Rush today ripping on him. All the righties, all the patriots, Jake, they're very upset with Mitch McConnell. They're very upset with the former Vice President Pence. So as far as they're concerned, you know, they're all traitors, Jake. And I would just also throw this. Crudy, you remember when we saw Trump all those many, many times? And one time specifically live, he recited this, you know, scorpion on the back of a animal swimming across the river. He's used different ones, you know, and why did you bite me? Why did you sting me? Well, because I'm a snake. That's what I do. I'm a scorpion. That's what I do. I mean, Trump was literally out there projecting all these things the whole entire time about how he is and who he is.
I will clog your toilets.
And the cult members, well, they're down. So if Trump doesn't like Pence, they don't like Pence. If Trump doesn't like the turtle, they don't like the turtle. I think he's going to be getting his from both sides, Jake. So he may be the most hated man in America.
I'm wondering what Mike Pence's future looks like. I mean, once upon a time, he was the great white hope of the Republican Party. And now he's just Jerry Cooney. 844-967.
Going back to radio, man.
2789. Jeremy from Wisconsin. Jeremy, where are you at today? Where are you listening from?
I'm just north of Madison right now.
Awesome, man. Welcome to the party. What do you got for us?
Well, I'm a union labor, so everybody, you know, expects us union guys to vote on the Democratic side of the ticket and everything. But as a individual, there's a lot of us that are free thinkers who look at both parties as being a total problem. And I'll have to say that unless there's term limits established for both Congress and the Senate, this country is going to be in a world of hurt for a long time.
What about on the Supreme Court, Jeremy? I mean, obviously, lifetime appointments, talking about no turnover. What about Supreme Court? Are we going to term limit them as well?
The Supreme Court is a total different entity. As long as there's 9 or 7 or, you know.
What about 17? Why not? Why not 23, sir?
No, absolutely not. Let's keep it simple. And where you can get, you know, 1 out of 2 is not going to work. 2 out of 3, you're going to get ganged up on. But come on, 9 is the perfect number where you're going to get level heads talking across the aisle, and you will come to a common ground. That's why you get elected to the Supreme Court, because you're supposed to have a high intellect of how everything is supposed to be read, no matter what your color, no matter what your race, no matter anything.
Well, Jeremy,
flat, level ground.
Sorry to interrupt. On the Wisconsin State Supreme Court, there are elections, but there are only 7. On the U.S. Supreme Court, there are lifetime appointments, but there are term limits on state Supreme Court nominees, effectively 10 years. Then you got to run for re-election. Last quick question for you, Jeremy. Who did you vote for? Who'd you vote for last time? 2020.
2020, I did vote for Trump.
And how about in 16?
16, I voted for Trump also.
And did Trump make your life any better between 2016 and 2020?
Almost 100% better.
And that means financially, or you got married, had kids? Now you got 2 kids. You used to have 1. How's it 100% better, Jeremy?
I'm like I said, I'm independent. I look at, you know, bottom line, what's best for America. When I voted for Obama his first term because I didn't like the lies that Bush was telling at the end of his term.
Sure.
So I'm like, all right, I want to go into a different direction. So Obama it was. Well, it wasn't 6 months into his presidency where everything he said he was going to do, he didn't do.
But Jerry, real quick before we let you go, I gotta ask you: was it Republicans or Democrats who stormed the Capitol?
I believe it was both.
I believe you might be wrong, sir, but we appreciate you listening, Jeremy. We appreciate independent thinkers. We appreciate Bill Press, our fine guest in the 3 o'clock hour, and we'd appreciate if you'd stick around. Matt McNeil in Minneapolis, the rest of you, more Devil's Advocates, the first happy hour of the Joe Biden presidency.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
Oh my God. I want the entire pool scrubbed, sterilized, and disinfected.
America has chosen Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to lead our country. Now it's time to get to work. Time to expand healthcare and tackle the coronavirus pandemic. Time to restore our democracy and unify our nation. It's time to put this administration to work for us. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Jimmy, crazy local music supporters have surrounded the studio. Take a look.
What does the sign say?
Support local music, double dipping is a right, and I love the Jimmies.
What do they want?
Live local music, Jimmy. Catch MaxInc Radio every Saturday evening for the best of local music from Wisconsin. And live music performed in the Devil's Lair. Go to MaxIncRadio.com for the live music schedule. It's MaxInc Radio, Saturdays at 6 on Devil Radio 92.7.
Give them what they want, rocker.
You're listening to W224EG and WTTN 1580 AM, always streaming at devilradio927.com.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. The 46th president is now in office.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
The new president arrived at the White House. As he took office, Joe Biden is calling for all Americans to come together. The AP Sagar Magani has the story.
Biden says there's much to do as the nation continues facing the virus crisis amid a deep divide.
Much to repair, much to restore, much to heal, much to build, and much to gain.
It can only happen with unity.
We must end this uncivil war.
On the Capitol's West Front, where Trump backers stormed the building 2 weeks ago, Biden never mentioned his predecessor, and Trump did not show up, having flown to Florida hours earlier. At 78, Biden is the oldest president inaugurated, and running mate Kamala Harris also made history as the first Black person and the first of South Asian descent to assume the vice presidency. Sagar Magani, Washington.
St. Anselm's College political science professor Chris Galderi in New Hampshire was asked about the president's statement that democracy will prevail.
Biden was talking not just about the insurrection at the Capitol 2 weeks ago, but also just the degree of activism that you saw from Democrats and from Trump opponents throughout Trump's term in office.
President Biden has an aggressive plan to get people who need it the coronavirus vaccine. But as New York Mayor Bill de Blasio points out, demand is greater than supply.
We've had to tell 23,000 New Yorkers who had an appointment this week that they will not be able to get that appointment for lack of supply.
California reported its second highest number of coronavirus deaths. Wall Street stocks higher, the Dow up 257 points at the close. This is AP News.
Last night's sleep? Interrupted by pain? Tonight, silence it with new ZQL Night Pain. Restful sleep, now with powerful pain relief. ZQL Night Pain combines America's #1 sleep aid with a maximum strength pain reliever. So you can fall asleep fast and wake feeling rested, because pain should never get in the way of a great night's sleep. New ZQL Night Pain. Silence pain. Sleep soundly. Available at retailers near you.
Hey y'all, this is your girl Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. Do you know Zero Res also cleans air ducts? They've got honest, straightforward pricing and the same great service. Give us a call and in January, get a free permanent filter with every air duct cleaning. Call us at 608-848-9000 or ZeroResMadison.com.
Do you know the Devil's Advocate started as a podcast, just two buddies talking into an iPad because we thought we had something to say? Do you have something to say? Let Devil Radio guide you. Launch your own broadcast quality podcast. Utilize our studios and staff, our hosting platform, and we will even promote your podcast on Devil Radio. Monthly packages start at just $295. Devil Radio's podcast platform to launch immediately after the election. Call today to learn more. 608-819-TALK.
Hey, Rocker, I heard you have a rye whiskey.
I do, Jimmy. Rocker Rye Whiskey. The mash is a high rye with a touch of malted barley that makes it yummy.
And Rocker Rye Whiskey is dedicated to the Madison music scene?
It sure is, Jimmy. You can read the story on the back of the bottle at any of these fine locations. Star Liquor, Woodman's, Trixie's Liquor, Vic Pierce, Miller & Sons in Verona, Steve's Liquor, Total Wine, and enjoy Rocker Rye Whiskey at the Lazy Oaf Lounge and Sal's Dark Horse. Find out more at rockervodka.com.
Tyler, man, am I feeling fat, and every year I make the same resolution. I need to lose some weight, but I never keep it off.
Well, Mike, I'd like to tell you about Focal Point Training and the Good Enough Workout, Madison's most comfortable workout.
Good enough? That sounds right up my alley. How do I find out more?
Well, we're running a great special for the month of January, which is your first 3 sessions for free.
The Good Enough Workout. Check it out at focalpointtraining.net. Tell them Crudy sent you.
It's as simple as showing up, making it up, and quitting while you're ahead.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Wednesday, January 20th. On Tuesday, Wisconsin passed 5,500 deaths from the COVID-19 virus, and the U.S. death toll passed a staggering 400,000. Over the last few days, the state's 7-day case average has been declining, while the 7-day death average has remained steady at a high level. As of yesterday, more than 40,000 people in Wisconsin have received both shots of COVID-19 vaccine and are protected against the coronavirus. The Wisconsin pharmacist accused of trying to defrost and spoil dozens of vials of COVID-19 vaccine was charged Tuesday with attempted misdemeanor property damage, and prosecutors warned more serious charges could follow if tests showed the doses were ruined. Forecast of partly cloudy skies with winds up to 25 miles per hour. High today of 31 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, the first happy hour of the Biden-Harris presidency. I'm very excited. How about you?
It's like a weight off my shoulders. I can take a deep breath and not like be stressed out. It's a great feeling. Salute everybody.
I am enjoying my first cocktail of the Joe Biden presidency. I hope everyone joins us soon in our happy hour endeavors, Tom. And of course, our first inaugural ball of the Biden presidency going off at 7 o'clock. Check your inboxes. There is a Zoom link if you gave it the GoFundMe or the Patreon. We appreciate you doing so. Look forward to partying. Hate to leave off the ing.
It's like 3 hours away. Go slow, Crudy. Come on, man.
Come on, man. A couple of sips. That's not the problem. Partying later. We'll party later. And now, later. But also later.
Now and later. Now or later. 844-967-2789. If you were with us in the last segment, we got a call from Jeremy from Wisconsin, an Obama voter, and then didn't vote for Obama the second time around, and voted for apparently Donald Trump
twice.
And I asked him quickly, and unfortunately we didn't have a time to kind of get into it, but I'm curious, from his perspective, was it Republicans or was it Democrats, right, who stormed the Capitol, engaged in this insurrection? And what was his answer?
Both sides.
I believe it's both sides. I believe it's both sides. And
well, he's been misled by the other side of the radio dial, Dom.
Sure, but as an independent thinker, as a free thinker, what evidence is there of that? And what logic do you use to come to that conclusion? Because there is no evidence
Facebook
of
memes.
That. Okay, so there's no evidence of all the people arrested so far. None of them have been Antifa. None of them have been Biden supporters. None of them have been Democrats, so far as I can tell. Right. And above and beyond that, why would a Democrat go in and try to stop the count of the electoral process of the guy they voted for and wanted to win? Right. So the only logical, of course, they wouldn't. So then the only way a Democrat would be involved is to do it surreptitiously. Right. They're pretending to be Trumpsters and they're really not. Well, okay, but if that's the case, then wouldn't we find that out when these arrests continue to go forward? I guess ultimately my point is, just because you believe it doesn't make it so. You can have an inclination of one thing or another, but when you look at the evidence that is currently available in this specific case, there is no evidence of any kind, shape, or form that Democrats were either or Antifa, however you want to put it, were engaged in this insurrection. Look at the other facts of the folks on the ground, the legislators, the senators, the Republicans in the House. There were no Democrats that voted that way. That was all the Republicans. So, Jeremy, I appreciate your thought, man, and you seem reasonable, but I would just challenge your assertion on that as a free thinker. I'd ask you, what evidence do you have to provide any sort of proof or reason for your inclination to think that both sides do it?
Well, I hope Jeremy hasn't moved on to the Sean Hannity reruns they play at this time on our competitor. I guess it's Vicky Icky. And then Sean Hannity reruns. Well, we got Earl Ingram playing. Hope Earl's coming to the party as well. You can all come to the party by joining us on the phones at 844-967-2789. Going back there to Dick. Welcome to the party, Dick. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Well, the answer is real easy to Jeremy. There's bad people on both sides.
But mostly on the Trumpster side, at least in terms of insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. That was 99.8% Trumpsters and a couple of guys who got lost looking for the L.
But back to the letter. Here's what I think's in it. If he was honest, here's what it'd be in it. And here's
the Trump letter to Joe Biden, Dick?
Yeah. Here's what's in it, in my opinion. The foundation's great, but it's built on quicksand. That's if he's honest. And here's what's in the letter further. Give me some credit. I gave you the Senate.
Yeah. Dick, I'll give you some credit. That was clever. Now, a Senate majority for the Democrats. They have sworn in the three new Democratic senators, Padilla from California, Kamala Harris's replacement, of course, Ossoff and Warnock from Georgia. It's 51-50 now. Welcome, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
I love it. 844-967-2789. And in some ways, thank you, Donald Trump. I mean, really, the fact that Ossoff and Warnock won those races, I believe at no small part, certainly the people turned out, but what was the motivation? Well, Donald Trump and the Trumpsters and the cult, it was totally rejected. Totally rejected. I mean, and look at what happened in the last 2 weeks alone since the insurrection, since the election. I mean, there could have been some sort of political future for Donald Trump and perhaps some of his children. I know they have apparently some aspirations in that regard, but I'm not clear how that moves forward when you're part of the insurrection, when you are ultimately indicted, perhaps, for your role in that activity.
Dominic, before the Capitol insurrection, Donald Trump went down to Georgia, right?
Right.
And he also, over the course of the weekend, let's not forget the Georgia Senate runoff was January 5th. The Capitol insurrection was January 6th. And the tape of Trump threatening, extorting a Georgia elections official, well, that dropped on January 4th, did it not? That couldn't have helped the cause.
Right.
And perhaps that was a criminal offense. We'll see how prosecutors in Georgia, just how feisty they're feeling. They did just turn blue, Dom. Maybe that'll give them new courage. 844-967-2789. Our pal Joe from Stevens Point. Happy Biden administration. Happy hour.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, fellas, man, absolutely. This is a great day today, man. It's a great opportunity for us to, do something. And, man, I'll tell you what, I just love when you guys have Bill Press on. That dude is, like, seriously, one of my favorites, all-time favorites.
Yeah, solid
and I
dude.
think he's right. Yeah, and I think his answer speaks to Jeremy. When Bill, when Matt Flynn tells us scary statistics of 40% of union voters vote Trump, that's the voice. That's what that sounds like. And way to go, Dom. Way to, I was sensing that on this side of the radio. It just felt like he was a Trump voter. But, that's how you get almost 75 million voters. So that's one. And then, man, I just think that Go Patriot Party, I can't wait for that.
Do you think they will describe it as a subsidiary of the Black Panther Party? Tip of cap to history. Funny. They appropriated the freeing of the slaves on behalf of the Republicans.
They don't know history, Michael.
Yeah. You know what? There's just so much, but I'll tell you what, man. Joe Biden turns. He's like turning a page, and the thing that makes me have hope for this radio station too is the funding that he says that he is going to fund state party politics. Tom Perez, I just recently heard that he was means testing, like, how do you means test? Like Wisconsin, get money to Wisconsin for God's sakes, get this message out and show what we're going to do. And that's, to the point you were talking about, Crudy, Barack Obama needing 60 votes. Barack Obama had every chance that Joe Biden ripped through a list of 15 executive actions. He could have did the same thing, but he didn't. He didn't govern like that. He really was super timid. And we can't have that. And I think these guys smell that. And all the people that went out and worked their cracks off for Warnock and Ossoff, they don't want to see you tainting that water with a bunch of Mitch McConnell. That is not why they knocked on, doors and doors and doors of people trying to get people up and going. They promised them $2,000 checks. They want action. They don't want this fake mythical bipartisanship.
No, you make an excellent. One more point, Joe. Make it quick.
Realize the cultural empowerment that happened under Trump. That's what he has to undo, but we got to do it through policy because we as Democrats do not think like that. We don't sense those things, but so many people feel like they've been left out and done raw. So, man, go Joe Biden. Thanks, fellas. Talk to you later.
Go,
Thanks,
Joe. Joe from Stevens Point. Here's some encouraging news. Go, Joe Biden. Joe Biden has already signed 17 executive orders rolling back the bad governance of Donald Trump. It's a start. He'll need hundreds, I suspect. And one quick thought. Our pal Bill Press said, if you're Jamie Harrison, if you're the new leader at the DNC, call upon those corporations that are abandoning the Republican Party. And that's where perhaps Bill, who was a party chair in California, and I might differ, because I would see this as the ideal time to cast overboard corporate control of the political outcomes. I would think this an excellent time to roll back Citizens United. It's not the time for the Democrats to get up to the same corporate trough and see if we can get some of that sweet, sweet corporate money for ourselves. I'm over there wearing the same coat and the knit mittens. I'm sitting there with Bernie Sanders thinking it's time for a real substantial change, especially to campaign finance laws because in no small part, they bring us Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and Scott Walker and even Donald Trump.
844-967-2789. Amanda Gorman, a poet, spoke today at the inauguration. It was moving. It was awesome. Perhaps we'll play a little bit of that plus more of your calls after the 420 break at 844-967-2789. We'll be right back.
They're winners. Winners get to do what they want.
The Devil's Advocates. Ass, grass, or cash. Nobody rides for free.
Santa, what if the kids have unrealistic requests? Like they want a dog for Christmas, and you know the parents don't want to get another dog for Christmas.
Actually, Santa doesn't carry live animals, and there's a reason for that. That 36,000 feet of live animal and a little wind current doesn't make a pretty sight.
I swear to God, I thought turkeys could fly.
Yeah, but puppies can't.
We did it. All across this nation, voters like you turned out in record numbers to elect Joe Biden. Now, it's time to come together to address the issue that matter most, tackling climate change, expanding access to healthcare, ensuring racial justice, and putting Americans back to work. Text ACT to 668366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Hold.moveon.org not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
There are lots of people that haven't made up their mind on this race, and you think, how could that be? No, there are. There are a lot of people that could still make a decision all the way on election day down.
Undecided voters are the biggest idiots on the planet. Try giving short, simple answers.
Like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Yosemites, Yosemites.
Because freedom. The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
Get your words straight, Jack.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We'll take your calls at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, it was either Justin Timberlake or Katy Perry. They're both going to perform tonight at the Joe Biden inauguration, the inaugural ball.
We have more Foo Fighters songs we could play.
Foo Fighters also on the playlist. They've already been played. You are always my hero, Dom. And the callers, there are heroes when they join us at 844-967-2789, the first happy hour of the Biden-Harris administration. We have now seen the House won back in the last 2 years. We've seen the Senate and the Senate majority now in place for the Democrats with the seating, the swearing in of 3 Democratic senators just this afternoon. Biden's in place. Kamala Harris is in place. We got the House. We got the Senate. I mean, we're screwed on the Supreme Court, sure. But the other levers of power, the Democrats are, at least in a 51-50 control point, Dom. That's very good news. That's reason for a party.
And who do you thank for that? Donald Trump? I mean, it only cost 400,000 lives. So, we got that going for us.
Real quick, Dom, a political figure known to you and I posted a little going away, a little salute to Trump, posted himself in a picture of the president and wrote this: reduce tax burden on hardworking Americans. A little bit more here. Ease the regulatory burden on small businesses. More than 200 conservative judicial nominations. Peace deals in the Middle East recognize Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Better trade deals. Operation Warp Speed? Would be the question mark. My editorialization. Thanks, President Trump! Exclamation point. 5 hours ago, Scotty Wanker. True blue wanker, the guy that got out of the presidential race to clear the field for a more conservative, a non-Donald Trump candidate, is now on the final day of the Trump presidency, embracing him to the end, posting photos of him and the former president. And, you know, I got to think, Tom, he's still got presidency envy, man. Been crying himself to sleep every night since September of 2015. He is the wanker.
Well, but that goes to show you his political aspirations overrule whatever moral objection he held, which was
Morals?
justified
Question mark?
with this president. So he's more than happy to cast aside all of his, Twitters of the Bible verses he sends out to support this traitorous, treasonous, insurrectionist bastards and all the other people who support him as well.
Don't covet thy neighbor's wife. Don't bear false witness. Well, here's the good news for Scott Walker. No one's ever coveted his wife. 844-967-2789.
This is brutal, dude.
Well, he won't go away, so I keep trying. Let's go to the leftist coast. A couple of California callers stacking up. Let's start with LA Tom. Alex Padilla, thanks for correcting the record, Tom. The newest senator from the great state of California.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, guys. First off, we the people are the government.
Yes.
We must never forget that. This whole thing is just starting now, because now we the people can't rest on our laurels. We really need to be as engaged as we were with the Women's March, with Donald Trump, but with Joe Biden, so we can start pushing him in a progressive direction. We need to talk policies. We don't need to talk reality show anymore. We need to talk actual policy that needs to get done. And, ready to get to work. And because I'll tell you what, Joe Biden's got a lot of people that, paid some big money in the corporate world to help him get elected because of the horrible, horrible Citizens United, Buckley versus Vallejo, and First National Bank versus Bellotti Supreme Court decisions, which has brought us to this complete mess and has made it so corporations own we the people government, and we need to get it back.
Now, Tom, Joe Biden's first executive order today, first of 17, a national mask mandate. Now, I don't know if it has the weight of any sort of enforcement mechanism, but you live in Los Angeles. My daughter in LA recently tested positive for COVID-19. My understanding, in the county in which you live, Tom, 1 million people have COVID-19. That's the policy choices I care the most about. Joe Biden, how's he going to deal with the pandemic? What do you think Joe should be doing, Tom?
Well, first off, I think that just being an example and making the minority the majority and the majority the minority and the way of thinking about wearing a mask is going to change. He actually can only make that rule or law on federal property, so we don't get the difference between public and private wrong. But I do think that, just seeing everybody there that was an example today, also talking, having the mask on and doing that will actually get a lot of the sheep to fall in order. I mean, this virus has not just happened to people on the progressive left. This virus has happened to those people on the right, whether or not they want to deny it or not. So, I mean, it's only comes to, common sense. If you want to get this virus, put a mask on and put it over your nose. Don't be putting it under your nose like you're some type of, fashion plate doing something. A lot of you have ugly noses anyway. You should cover them up. But yeah,
I know that's true in my case, Tom.
Well, I know the mask is the thing that's saving lives. I mean, I go basically door to door for my other job, and the thing is, I've seen people all over the place. I don't go outside of extracurricular at all. Mark and I are at home, but the thing is, when I go door to door, it's always mask on, social distancing, and doing the common sense things.
Tom, my wife finds me more attractive wearing a mask. I don't know how that could possibly be, but she says, put it on. Put it on, baby. Put the mask on.
The question I have, though, does she allow you to cut out the little holes in the brown bag so you can see?
Come back with us. More devil's advocates, more insults. It's the happiest happy hour of all. The first one of the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris administration. Your call's next, 844-967-2789.
Well, I want to talk to the Trump supporters for a minute.
To me, this is a very, very sexy subject.
I hate you.
Donald Trump.
I hate you.
I find it sexy.
It could be. It might be. It is. Devil Radio 92.7.
Hey, I'm Chris.
And I'm Fancy Brian.
And we are your hosts for a new podcast called On the Bus with Chris and Brian, where we welcome you on board the tour bus with artists from all over the place, giving you a taste for what life is really like on tour. This episode, filmmaker, musician, and New York Times bestselling author Jeff Alulis joins us on the program.
Podcasts drop every other Tuesday on devilradio927.com.
No yelling on the bus.
Biden won because of you. Because you stayed in line to vote even when you got tired. Because you knew that your vote is power. Because you understood what was at stake. And because you showed up, we now have the power. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates.
A new president. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. In his inaugural address, President Biden called for resilience and unity.
We shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness, a story of decency and dignity, love and healing.
Biden added the country faces a series of challenges, including the coronavirus pandemic, the divide between the wealthy and the rest of the people, and the deep divisions of racism.
We'll press forward with speed and urgency, for we have much to do in this winter of peril and significant possibilities. Much to repair, much to restore, much to heal, much to build.
A bipartisan trio of former presidents, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama, were there to witness the transfer of power. Former President Donald Trump was at his Florida resort by the time of the inauguration. I'm Tim McGuire.
Last night's sleep? Interrupted by pain? Tonight, silence it. With new ZQL Night Pain. Restful sleep, now with powerful pain relief. ZQL Night Pain combines America's #1 sleep aid with a maximum strength pain reliever. So you can fall asleep fast and wake feeling rested, because pain should never get in the way of a great night's sleep. New ZQL Night Pain. Silence pain. Sleep soundly. Available at retailers near you.
Hey y'all, this is your girl Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Wednesday, January 20th. Legislative Republicans refused to take up discussion on updates to the state's unemployment system on Tuesday in a special session called by Governor Tony Evers, bringing into question the effectiveness of special sessions during periods of divided government. Governor Evers has called 7 special sessions on matters ranging from gun control to pandemic-related adjustments to last year's spring election. Republicans who control the state Senate and Assembly have largely ignored Evers' requests, and none of the Democratic governor's special sessions have directly resulted in legislation. People 65 and older in Wisconsin will be eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine starting Monday, the State Department of Health Services reported Tuesday. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the happiest happy hour of the Biden-Harris administration. The very first one, but an exciting one indeed, and lots of people want to be a part of this big show, Dom. We encourage that here. You can call us at 844-967-2789, or you can text us at the very same number, like butthurt conservative George has been doing all afternoon. He is quite butthurt today.
Oh, no.
Can I sum up pretty much all of his texts for today?
Please do.
Meow.
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 No.
Yeah.
No.
What about George's feelings? How do we feel about George's feelings, Brian? You know, you'd hate to think that George has somehow been emotionally crippled or something by the reality of the Biden presidency.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, that's how we feel. That sums it up.
Wait, what about the QAnon trust the plan? What about, I got a secret. God is not going to let Trump or let Biden president. Trump will be president for 4 more years. Remember all that I saw? I'm sorry, do that one again?
Fuck your feelings.
Yeah. What about trusting the plan?
Dominic, I plan on cocktailing tonight on conservative tears. It's going to feel so good. 844-967-2789. Feels so good when you call the Devil's Advocates. Be like Paul from Humboldt County, California. Paul, welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
Hey, Paul.
Well, hello. Well, hello from the land of big trees, Bigfoot, and big buds.
Sweet big buds, I hear. Wish I had some right now,
yeah.
Paul.
Oh, I got plenty.
But you do.
Anyway,
welcome to the show. What do you got for us, Paul?
Well, in the past couple of weeks, it feels like I've woken up from a terrible nightmare for one thing. And but to sum up the mentality of the supporters of Pumpkinhead, did you see where someone had carved his name in the back of a manatee down in Florida? I mean, that's the mentality. And another one is
Paul, that turns out it wasn't a manatee. That was Steve Bannon's back.
Oh, gross.
That's what earned him the pardon.
That's what I thought. Another thing is when they were showing the demonstrators at this rally that turned into a fiasco at the Capitol, they showed one lady and she's walking and she has this big yellow flag that says, "Don't tread on me." Well, what happened to her, she was one of the supporters that died.
Yeah.
She got trampled to death. And to me, both those things just sum up the mentality of the people that supported the clown. Anyway, goodbye from Humboldt County. I appreciate you guys.
Happy smoking, man. Thank you for listening on KGOE 1480 AM.
Thanks, Paul.
I just want a quick update on that manatee that was branded, or the Steve Bannon that was branded.
Carved,
whichever
yes.
you want it, or carved.
Looked a lot like Steve Bannon, but probably a manatee.
Dave Bautista of WWE and Guardians of the Galaxy fame, he's Drax the Destroyer. He has put out a $20,000 bounty on anybody who can find out who did it. So
nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
All right, good to know.
So that guy's
Let's
putting a
hope they catch him.
$20,000
$20
bounty.
grand. $20 to catch whoever carved Trump's name in the back of a manatee.
Here's how they're going to catch the guy. He posted it on Facebook. I feel quite confident. Or Parler. Parler's back. 844-967-2789. Next up, Doogie from Chicago. Welcome back, Doogie. What do you got today?
Hey, Doogie, what's happening?
How you doing? I waited 3 months to tell a story you guys would love, but I'm going to have to postpone that because that union guy, I really hope he's still listening. So where did the messaging go where we have union members voting Republican and against their own interests? I mean, in '93, I applied at Goodyear, and it was a union shop. I couldn't work for them unless I was forced to join the union and pay dues. Republicans have undermined unions with the right to work for peanuts laws. So saying that you have the right to work and can't be forced to join the union and pay the dues, but you can be included in all the negotiation that they do. Over a year ago, Trump started weakening the Department of Labor quality standards for union workers and the use of unqualified contract labor, which creates a danger for every project built.
Yeah.
And then that guy also said that, his life has got 100% better. How? Because you already know the Trump tax scam, cutting the taxes for the rich and tossing the burden on us, the working class. Every 2 years, our taxes are going up now. And then Obamacare, Republican Marco Rubio, he drained the Obamacare risk corridors, which was insurance for the insurance companies. And when he drained that, the insurance companies freaked out. And that's the reason why every single freaking year, our premiums and our deductions have gone up and up and up and up. And the Republicans have done that. Get educated labor people. Democrats are pro-labor. This guy, I really hope he's still listening. What do you think?
Well, Doogie, my only question is, how would the people of labor necessarily know that? Dominic and I went to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We went to a Teamsters event. I believe we exclusively broadcasted back to the great state of Wisconsin. It included Klobuchar and Bernie Sanders and, of course, Joe Biden, the front runner at that time. And that was a union-centric event. And I know that Joe was fairly well regarded by the unionistas. I would say that Klobuchar held her own. And I think that Bernie Sanders, perhaps the most popular in the room. But the issue I have is that we don't take the populist mantle. When do we hear Democrats supporting the working stiffs, Doogie? Not enough. I'm not saying Joe Biden's not for labor. I saw Joe Biden walk in the picket line in Las Vegas. Dominic and I were there. But I'm saying Joe Biden and every other Democrat better make it clear who they stand for and with. And I feel like working class white people in this nation, Doogie, they don't feel like the Democrats offered them anything. And we've lost them to Donald Trump, and we need to get them back.
Absolutely. We need that messaging. The Democrats need to pull out a messaging machine somehow, and the time to do it is now. Hey, happy hump day.
Yeah. How about lefty talk radio? How about
a
very approachable
man
of the people sort of show like the Devil's Advocates?
That's a great point, Crudy, and I'm glad you made it. And thankfully, Jeremy was out there, and he's driving around his car, and he picked up the signal. But who else is out there besides us?
Get it right.
What's that?
Jeremy's in a pickup truck. You know he is.
Whatever he's driving, that is irrelevant. Come on, man. Listen to you talk about the working class people are going to rip on a dude for driving a pickup truck.
I drive a truck. I got a truck now.
That's a Jeep. That's not a truck,
cousin
man.
Joe, man. You going to rip on your cousin in the fine
I'm
American-made Chrysler Corporation?
Did you say pickup truck with love and respect, or did you say pickup truck like he's driving a pickup truck?
Well, you said he's driving around in his car.
It's okay, man. Listen,
working men drive trucks.
The point is the Jeremy's radio dial in his pickup truck or in his Mercedes Benz or whatever Jeremy is driving only has, so many things he can tune into. And many of those, specifically here in the state of Wisconsin and certainly across the country, as we have talked about, there is no other source of information. It's going to be the same Rush Limbaugh, the same Sean Hannity, maybe Vicky or maybe O'Donnell, depends on where you're at, but it's going to be the same thing over and over again. And while I like to think, we're right, people evolve, new information comes forward, but you got to have a conversation. You got to have different sources of information. If you're going to try to be an open and free thinker, well, then you should be scanning the dial up and down the entirety of every single station out there, news and talk specifically, if that's what you're trying to get into.
Slow down, man. When you get to 92.7, you just lock it in and then super glue it.
The issue I
or
have,
1580 AM, depending on where you're listening from.
You can also stream at devilradio927.com. I almost went the other one. The thing that got to me about the substance of that guy's conversation was when we asked him, all right, how did it get better? Okay, you say you got 100% better. Cool. How did it get better? And the first thing out of his mouth was how horrible it was that Barack Obama betrayed him. He went back 8 years beforehand and didn't answer how it got better.
Well, but do you understand that? And my wife made this point the very day that Scott Walker won re-election against Mary Burke. And I saw my wife sit up in a start. And she said, 6 a.m. My wife's like, we didn't appeal to white middle-class voters. I'm thinking, how political this woman has become. But it was true. The Democratic Party so often, we check the boxes. We're there for gay people. We're there for people of color. We're there for Latinos and Asians. And if you've got a check next to your name, if there's a box to check, well, the Democratic Party seemingly is for you. But if you're a white working class stiff that hasn't gotten a raise in 30 years under Reaganomics, and you're wondering how you're going to make it through this pandemic, or even before that, I mean, before Trump, the working class in this nation were struggling. The manufacturing base has been diminished. The ability for a guy to go out there and work hard with the sweat of his brow or the labor of his back and earn a fair living and raise kids and, do the American dream, it's gotten very, very difficult, especially if you don't have a college degree. Well, I'm not sure what the Democrats offer to those people. I'm not saying they don't want to. I'm not saying that you're not better suited voting Democrat, but I'm just saying you better message to them. You better tell the working class stiff what you've done for him lately, or he starts looking around.
844-967-2789. Andy from Beaver Dam, you are next. Welcome. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Andy.
Well, I have one brief message, boys. We have a new president. Hip, hip, hooray!
We do have a new president, Andy. I'm feeling good about that notion. How about you, sir?
Absolutely. We don't have to put up with any more tweets. We can move forward. And, I think we love politics, but not 24/7, right? It'll be a lot more relaxed, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. We'll see, Andy. Sorry, your phone line not great today. Here's what I recommend. Monday through Friday, just get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, start listening to Matt Flynn, listen to Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, the Devil's Advocates, Earl Ingram, Al Robinson, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. If you're unfamiliar, then stick around for Jeff Santos. And then do it again tomorrow and the day after that, and the day after that. And then when the weekend comes, you listen to the political fair during the course of the day, starting at 8 or 9, depending on when you get out of bed on a Saturday morning. But then come Saturday night at 6 o'clock, you unplug from the politics, you listen to the Max Inc. Radio Boys. We got your whole week planned for you. And then we do it all over again on Sunday. 7 days a week. Just tune in. That's all you got to do.
That's it. The easiest thing to do is just tune in, listen. And then
why would you not do that?
And then I would suggest also do the Donald Trump invitation. Tune in, get 5 of your friends to tune in, and they can each get 5 of their friends to tune in. And then pretty soon we have enough people pushing back. Now I know it looks like a pyramid, but it's not at all what it is. It's not a pyramid. And then
it's a trapezoidal scheme.
You get some people pushing back. Listen, and certainly we give opinions a lot of times. Certainly we'll relay facts as well. Facts, you can't really argue with opinions, certainly. And to have discussions with people who have opinions that are different from yours is a healthy and a good thing. We need more people like Jeremy, and you're right. I'm not clear exactly, given the whole globalization and exporting the jobs overseas and all those kinds of things, how that changes where you can get, one person without college education out of the entire household working and make enough money to support the family, buy a home, have a car. Those days are gone, right? Those days are gone. What are we doing to get them back? What are we doing to get people paid more? Well, I'm not clear what the Republicans are doing. I know the Democrats have some ideas.
You spout opinions. When I say it, when I express my opinion, it immediately becomes fact. It's just the way the world works. Come back with us. The happy hour continues. It is a fact.
Do not take me for some conjurer of cheap tricks.
Metaphors are going to go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
You guys are getting it done.
You boys are the light of my day, and I've been listening to you for many years.
I love you guys. You're the greatest thing that has happened to Wisconsin radio.
If it wasn't for your radio program and getting out the vote, who knows?
I got to give you guys so many props.
I'm pretty sure your guys' radio station had a direct impact on that.
You're welcome, everybody, and thank you.
America has chosen Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to lead our country. Now it's time to get to work. Time to expand healthcare and tackle the coronavirus pandemic. Time to restore our democracy and unify our nation. It's time to put this administration to work for us. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
The Devil's Advocates.
Darren from Madison tells us he's a former Capitol Police officer.
You can't even compare the two of what happened, yesterday and with Act 10.
Darren, did you, as a Capitol Police officer, ever witness any violence in the Wisconsin State Capitol?
Nope, not at all. It's about as peaceful can be when it comes to peaceful protesting. It was an unlawful assembly. But at the end of the day, there was no violence at the end of the day. It was people coming in and singing.
Listen to Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
Break
The Devil's Advocates. We drink when we toast. We toast when we drink.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. Last segment of the day, and what a great day it has been. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, as far as I can tell, no one had to use the AK.
I got to say, it was a good day.
Let's get back to the phones. Joe from Madison, welcome back. You're next. What do you got for us?
Hello, Joe.
Oh, thanks for everything, guys. And I, too, appreciate the fact that Jeremy called, even though I don't agree with him. And I think when you said, Dom, that you can't just say, I believe, I think. You got to go to fact. You got to have stuff that backs you up, which was why I thought that Doogie's phone call was so interesting, because he was very specific about the ways in which the working people have been hit hard by specific policies on the right side. And I would say that, when Jeremy feels that things are just 100% fine, I mean, man, the right to work has just hammered the average working man, and the Republicans' insistence on sending jobs overseas and, in fact, giving corporations a tax break for doing that has been disastrous for us. You said, Cootie, that we lost them. We lost the left has Democrats have lost the working people, and I would say we haven't lost them. I would say what has happened is that right-wing media has smashed things so that it's difficult to get out the Democratic message. The work that you guys have done has been absolutely instrumental in that, and I would just encourage everybody, throw some coin your way. You can go to the GoFundMe page and call the sponsors and let them know that this is the kind of place with the kind of information that helps you know what's going on. And thanks to Doogie for giving a call on very specific information about how things are going. So that's my 2 cents, guys. And thanks for everything on this great day.
Well, thank you, Joe. It is a great day.
It really is.
Our friends, the men and women of labor, they got it right, or at least they had it right. And of course, they've been under attack here in the state of Wisconsin. Scott Walker really made this a contentious issue. The divide and conquer. And he started with the public sector unions, and he instilled right to work after claiming he had no interest in right to work. But of course, he was lying, because that's what politicians on the Republican side do for a living. And now to this very day, Donald Trump and Scott Walker got together and gave us the 8th wonder of the world, Foxconn. I mean, that should have lost both of them their elections respectively, and it did, right? Because Foxconn never came to fruition. And these guys, they act like they're all for what's in the best interest of our nation. But Scott Walker gave the biggest socialist giveaway to a foreign corporation in the history of our nation. And he said it was going to be transformational. Wisconsin Valley. Well, the con was on you, Scott Walker, and on the people of the state of Wisconsin and the taxpayers, because the bad decisions made by Scott Walker, I mean, that's a 25-year mess we got to clean up. And Donald Trump, it could take my kids' grandkids' generation to clean up that mess. Could be years and decades before all the damage is fixed. And in this nation, it seems like we pendulum from crazy. I mean, George W. Bush had the entire economy in a ditch. And then people like Jeremy complained because Barack Obama didn't back the bus out of the ditch quick enough, didn't solve the problems forcefully enough for their taste, right? Why is it that Republicans break stuff and then Democrats try to fix it? And all we hear from the conservatives, the working class, the people out there in radio world, oh, you know, why aren't the Democrats doing more? Faster, quicker, fix Trump's mess, fix W's mess. Hell, we're still trying to fix Reagan's mess. This all started with Reagan and the air traffic controllers and the tax cuts and the tripling of the national debt and lying to you and telling you this is trickle-down economics. When's mine going to trickle down? I'm still waiting.
Yeah, very, very, Crudy, that was very specific, and I do appreciate your position, and I think you're absolutely right. And I would take it even a step further, is that when someone stands up and tells you, like Scott Walker, and they go out there and they parade around their religious or their moral values, and then you see how they actually react in real time to real specific circumstances where legislation could hurt and or help people.
Who would Jesus divide and conquer, Dom? We don't ask that question enough.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And you know me as the resident atheist here. This isn't a screed for non-belief, but to point out the hypocrisy of those who claim some sort of higher moral ground because they believe in a certain God that perhaps other people don't. And because of that, and because they claim it and they show it and they wear it and they got the cross around their neck and they got the lapel and they tweet out their Bible verses, that somehow they have it all figured out. They got a really good beat on things, and then they go forward in their public life and in their service, quote unquote, to us, and they do the things that are exactly opposite of what they claim. And to my own humble opinion, they would swear to believe that they would follow Jesus on. So I mean, be it the fiscal conservatism or the take care of the needy and the poor and heal the sick. I mean, take it whatever way you want it. They say one thing and they do another. The crime of hypocrisy for them, there is no shame, so it doesn't matter, because really it's not about their religion. It's not about their fiscal prowess or their conservatism fiscally. It's about power. And it's about them maintaining the power, and it's about them making sure that other people like you, Jeremy, are kept in the dark, are kept the way you are kept, because they only offer you a certain sleeve of information. As a free thinker, you got to reach out, expand those horizons. If you're tuning into us, you're doing so, and we welcome you, and we thank you for doing so. But you got to keep down that road. If you're going to challenge it, challenge them all, man. How can Scott Walker sit here and claim to be a practicing, a preacher's kid and do the things that he does? You can't do it.
For all our Trumpster loving evangelical friends, I have a final thought for this big show, Dom. Your God has forsaken you. And ultimately, if you are a believer, and I believe there's a God, I believe there's a higher power out there in the world. I have been far too fortunate not to be blessed by someone.
A God beyond Trump, you mean? Or what do you mean?
Well, ultimately, Dom, this electoral loss for Donald Trump, well, that's all part of God's plan. If God raised him up, God also chopped him off at the knee. He's going to have knee problems for quite some time. God has forsaken you, Trumpsters. We'll never forsake you. Devil's Advocates, thanks for listening. Don't forget, big inaugural ball. Check your inboxes, especially those of you that gave a couple bucks to the cause over the last year. Want to thank our fine guest. He was Bill Press, CNN contributor, pundit, friend of ours. Stick around for another friend. He is Earl Ingram. Then after that, the Alan Robinson Show, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. And then the super duper exclusive inaugural ball, Joe Biden. He's the president. It was a really good day.
Hey, wait a minute, Pooh. Stop it. What the f I'm thinking about?
It's over.
And I want the rest of you cowboys to know something. There's a new sheriff in town.
So, folks, let's polka tonight and get to work tomorrow.
I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
F your feelings.
Are you a small business owner or professional that would like to be featured in your own weekly